Oh, very good.
What do you think of someone in the south of France listening to your breakfast show to improve their English?
Well, that's second. And, well, my English would be the best.
I don't
Your
mean that.
English?
No, my English is awful as well.
This is listening to your programme because your English would be good.
This,
you have big
this
fancy
email
words.
came in during your programme. I don't use fancy words. So there's someone in the south of France learning English. Nathalie, good morning to you.
Nathalie, I love you. Will you tune
Nathalie.
in tomorrow and you can send a voice note and send us everything and we'll do our best.
Nathalie Manis, and he's going to be, I'm not sure of the gender, over in the south of France speaking like you.
And do you know what? Because David Guetta, right, celebrating his 56th birthday today, and I says, I wonder how you say happy birthday in French, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a guy, Joe, Irish Joe, because he's an Irish guy out in the French Alps, and he sent a voice note. So that's two people in France listening this morning.
That's it. Cool. Anyway, Nathalie, thank you very much for being on board.
How do you say good morning in French?
Bonjour and all good morning.
Bonjour, good morning.
Donald, come on, he might as well. He's chomping at the tip.
Come on.
He's chomping at the bit.
Go on ahead.
Don't Google it.
Technically, good morning is bon matin.
Technically. And untechnically?
Happy birthday is bon anniversaire.
Okay.
Oh, he's showing off now. What else have you got first?
So if it's this morning and it's your birthday, you're fine. He's fluent in French. Anything else, he's in bother. Anyway, merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Tata. Bye-bye. Slan. Good luck.
All right. It's 2 minutes past 9, Lee. You are a bold boy. 2 minutes past 9, the 9 to noon show on the way. But let's cross over now for a news update. And it is over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The HSE has responded to public concerns about respite care at St Joseph's Hospital in Stranraer. In a statement, they acknowledge it's necessary to send some respite patients to private nursing homes, but they say the situation is being kept under review. With more, here's Ellen Butler.
People in the Finn Valley say family members who traditionally received respite care at the facility are now being sent to private nursing homes in Letterkenny, while patients being discharged from Letterkenny University Hospital are being sent to St Joseph's for step-down care. In a statement, the HSE says all efforts are being made by the Older Persons Service to support older people availing of respite in Donegal, but at the same time, the service must also offer post-acute hospital care to those older people who need a continued level of support. The service says in order to facilitate the demand for both respite and post-acute care, some respite services are now provided in private nursing homes within the area, all of which are registered facilities with HIQA and have the ability to provide the required care level. This will be kept under review on an ongoing basis.
Jason Corbett's children are due to give victim impact statements in court in the US today. The Limerick man was beaten to death in his home in North Carolina in 2015, with his wife Molly and her father Tom Martins pleading guilty to manslaughter. Mr. Corbett's son and daughter, whom he shared with his first late wife Mags, are due to give their statements later, with the sentence hearing due to finish either tomorrow or Thursday. The Irish Independent's Southern correspondent Ralph Regal, who's in North Carolina, says one line the prosecution is pursuing is a pattern of lies from Molly Martins.
Just to give you an example, like her college roommate was told that she had a baby sister who died of cancer. She went so far to have a picture of a child in a frame, and of course she never had a sister. The prosecution's case clearly is that if she can't be believed in these type of details, how on earth can she be believed?
Women in the west and northwest of Ireland have the highest life expectancy in the country. Figures from Eurostat show women in the region have a life expectancy of 84.9 on average, while men have a life expectancy of 80.4. That's marginally below the Eastern and Midlands region. The life expectancy for women across the whole of the EU was 82.9 and men 77.2. The Ombudsman for Children says it's important that we listen to children when they speak about issues that affect their lives. His office will hold the 6th staging of the Child Talks conference this morning, with over 1,000 school children heading to the Helix in Dublin. 6 young speakers will discuss topics including vaping, growing up LGBTQ in Ireland, and managing youth mental health. The Children's Ombudsman, Dr. Niall Muldoon, says politicians can learn a lot from what they have to say.
Children were talking about and fighting for the environment over the last 10 years before politicians took it up. Children are leading the way in regards to vaping and the dangers of it. So it really is crucial, and I think it'll be very, very important for policymakers and people in the public service and government to listen to some of these stories that have been spoken about today.
Well, the forecast a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers this morning. The showers becoming less frequent in the afternoon, leaving a mostly dry day. Top temperatures 9 to 11 degrees Celsius in a light to moderate westerly wind. Keep up to date with today's stories on our website, highlandradio.com. Our next news bulletin is at 10 o'clock. Good morning.
Now just pop the stamp on the top corner. There.
Here, Mum?
Yep. Good job.
Yay!
What's happening?
Look, it's snowing.
There's Tin Man in the garden.
Whoa.
He's with.
No way!
Ho, ho, ho.
Santa!
The magic of Christmas all begins with a card. Get 2 free cards and 4 free stamps when you buy a Christmas stamp booklet. An Post, for your world. T's and C's apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 6 minutes past 9, Tuesday the 7th of November 2023. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well this morning. And we look forward to having you on board the 9 till Noon Show for the next 3 hours and throughout the day, of course, here in Highland Radio. Our lines are open for you right now, as you know yourself. You can give us a call. Caroline and Shannon taking your calls on 074 91 25000. And if you prefer to WhatsApp or text the programme, it's the same number for both SMS and WhatsApp, 086 60 25000. If you're listening outside of Ireland, outside the Republic, and you want to get involved in the conversation, it's 00353. Drop the first O, of course. 86 60 25000. And that's a good number too if you want to send in your voice notes. If you want to comment via voice note, feel free to use WhatsApp in that manner as well. And of course, your emails from anywhere in the world to comments@highlandradio.com. And don't forget, as always, you can watch the programme. We stream it live every day for you on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, where there are captions there as well. There are people who are hard of hearing or have hearing issues that are able to engage with the programme that way, which is fantastic. And we're across Facebook as well. And you can also watch in browser from our website. I do forget to mention that from time to time, but there you go. Right, let's start with a look at the papers this morning. The Irish Times: the death toll in Gaza was reported by the Hamas-run health ministry to have risen to more than 10,000 yesterday, with no ceasefire in sight, as a further escalation of fighting on the Israel-Lebanon border increased concerns that the conflict could develop into a much wider regional configuration. After completing the siege of Gaza City, Israeli forces advanced into the city from the north and south, accompanied by intense airstrikes, temporarily crashing the internet and cellular phone networks. Israeli troops were reportedly moving in the direction of the city's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa, beneath which Israel claims Hamas has a major control and command centre. More than 40,000 residents are camped out on the hospital compound, believing the area is relatively safe compared with the rest of Gaza. And again, just listening to the coverage, it's actually really quite interesting because a BBC correspondent in Gaza has written to his bosses concerned with the coverage, that it's not telling the whole truth. But also, too, listening this morning to the radio, as you do, switching around the place to see how things are being covered and not wishing to labour the point. But it is quite interesting, again, this morning to note that the awful events that happened 1 month to this day, the massacre of 1,400 Israelis, and it was a massacre, is described as such, whereas the deaths of the civilian population in Gaza is not described in the same manner at all. It's just over 10,000 killed with no context, no breakdown, no use of the word massacre. I just thought it an interesting observation. The Irish Independent this morning, we talked about this yesterday, so I thought I'd give you an update on the Education Minister Norma Foley's comments. Primary schools will survey parents for their views before proposing a ban on smartphones under new guidelines to be discussed by Cabinet. So just to let you know, you will be notified by your school to have your say. Schools will be encouraged to liaise with parent associations to gather views on asking all parents not to buy their children smartphones. If a majority of parents are in favour of collectively agreeing to not give their children smartphones, the schools will write to all parents asking them to sign up to the initiative. Education Minister Norma Foley will bring a memo to Cabinet this morning setting out the guidelines for primary schools seeking to introduce the smartphone ban. Again, not really easy to get a sense of what the majority of you out there think. Would you be in favour of it? Now, it would not be... Well, they can be banned from school, but it would be encouraging parents not to give phones to children under 13. As I say, I don't know how that will go with parents. Would the majority be in favour of that or not? Because we don't really have a big enough sample to be able to determine that with any certainty. On to the Irish Daily Mail this morning. Almost 700,000 people in this country are living below the poverty line. a new study has shown. So it's almost a million, it's 0.7 700,000 people are below the poverty line, not on it, but below it. This equates to 1 in every 8 people in Ireland, but for children, the figure is higher at 1 in 7 or 190,000 under 18s, according to a report from Social Justice Ireland. The poverty line is defined as 60% or less of the nation's average income. This would mean a minimum disposable income of just under €320 a week for a single person would be required to avoid poverty. The Poverty Focus report released yesterday said child poverty is a reality for 1 in every 7 children in Ireland, about 190,000 children, a stark statistic that raises major questions for fairness and progress. And as well, too, it has to be put in the context of us being told that we are a rich country, that we have a strong economy, that we have full employment. If that is what we are being told, then the question also has to be asked, well, if that is the case, how can it be that 1 in 7 children live below the poverty line? Something about the system is not working correctly, is it? Donald Trump featured in many of the papers. We'll go to the Sun to see what they have to say. A judge threatened to cut Donald Trump's testimony short in his civil business fraud trial. It comes as Trump and Judge Arthur Engoron clashed repeatedly. Judge Engoron told the former US president that he might remove him from the witness stand if he did not answer questions directly. Judge Engoron asked Mr. Trump's lawyer, Christopher Keyes, Mr. Keyes, can you control your client? This is not a political rally. This is a courtroom. And I think what was quite interesting too is that there wasn't a massive presence of either pro or anti-Trump people outside the courtroom. Some reporting that there were more media present than regular folk backing or opposing Mr. Trump. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar's been asked that old question as we head towards an election. Would you coalesce with Sinn Féin? He's ruled out forming a Fine Gael coalition government with Sinn Féin, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, Fine Gael were not that far away, I think, from the last. In fact, I seem to recall Leo Varadkar threw up the option that maybe Fine Gael, it would be good to have a term out of office, particularly as opposed to re-establish its identity as a standalone party. That was ahead of the last election. But anyway, he's not going to go into government with Sinn Féin if it means getting into power again. He was asked yesterday if he would work with Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald after the next general election. The Taoiseach replied, happy to work with Deputy McDonald on certain issues, but forming a government's very simply out of the question. Very strong language that you wouldn't hear from Micheál Martin, for an example. Mr. Varadkar has previously described Sinn Féin as an ultra-nationalist, radical left, populist, Euro-critical party. He said its policies are anti-business and would be a disaster for Ireland. So it would be very hard for him, and anything can happen in politics, of course, but it would be very hard for the party to backtrack from that. And all of the papers full of pictures of the Northern Lights. Stargazers were treated to the sight of a breathtaking natural phenomenon as the Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis, were visible across the country on Sunday night. Now, is this controversial, right? I've seen loads of fantastic pictures, look wonderful, but I don't know if it really counts as beautiful as they are, and this is not to upset any photographers out there. But if you're using time-lapse and you're not really capturing what the eye can see, is it really that spectacular? I mean, some of it is amazing, but I've seen some of the videos and what people actually see with their naked eye. I couldn't see anything, and I didn't really get it. But people are using their phones and time-lapsing, I think. I don't know how it works. And we're met with these most beautiful images, but like if a tourist was looking at it, could they see that? Honestly, anyone out there, let me know. Can you see this as it is portrayed in the pictures with the naked eye? Because a tourist might go, or someone from down the country might go, right, I'm heading to North Donegal to see this amazing spectacle, which is, don't get me wrong, but can you really see that with your naked eye, what all these pictures are showing? And if you can't, should it really have a caveat saying this was captured, with time-lapse or overexposure of the image or whatever? Again, not wishing to upset anyone. Maybe it's controversial. But if that's not really what you can see with the naked eye, does it really count? 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number. Your voice notes to it too. Give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
The life of a Charlie's chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
Santa's elves, listen up. If a kid's playhouse is on your little one's wish list this Christmas, Dealside Garden Furniture has you covered. Explore our range in various colours and sizes, including the Dreamy Barbie Dreamhouse Pink. Orders close on December 2nd. Find us on social media, Dealside Garden Furniture, or call 087 1124 766.
If you've been the victim of a crime, it can sometimes feel like you've been left in the dark with nowhere to turn for answers or support. But help is always available, no matter who you are or what your background. Victimscharter.ie provides information on translation services, explains your rights, and offers the support you need when you need it most. You have rights, you have support, you have a voice. Find yours in the Victims Charter. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Morning to you. How are you all keeping? Hope you're very well.
Hello, darling. Hope you've started packing.
Mum.
We're dying to see you this Christmas. The tree's up already.
Mum, I don't know how to say this.
What's wrong, pet?
I can't come home this year. It's just too expensive.
Oh, sweetheart. We'll miss you.
Sometimes life keeps us apart. But at Highland Radio, no matter where you are in the world, this year we want to make Christmas extra special for one lucky family. We want to bring a family home for Christmas. You can nominate yourself or a loved one. Visit highlandradio.com to submit your nomination. Let's bring families together this Christmas.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time is 18 minutes past 9. We're joined on the programme now by Father Jim McGonigal, retired parish priest in the Derry Diocese. Father, thank you for joining us this morning, and I wish we were speaking about anything else other than what we are going to speak about, and that's the awful loss of Thomas and Alana in a road traffic collision in the early hours of yesterday morning. It is incredibly difficult to comprehend, Father.
It's very difficult. I must say it was one of the most traumatic experiences in my 60 years as a priest when I was called out in the middle of the night, and especially to two people that I knew and families that I knew. But it was traumatic. But again, it's not about us. It's about the two families who have suffered such a terrible loss. You know.
And you knew Alana particularly from a very young age, Father.
Particularly well, because she was prematurely born in Altnagelban Hospital, and I was there. And we thought at the beginning it would be, she would lose, but she won her fight, and she turned out to be one of the most wonderful young people that I've known in my lifetime. And
also Thomas, leaving cert pupil at Moville Community College.
He was in Moville Community College because his family had more connections, even though they were living in Jamestown Park in Glenealy. They had more connections with the Moville, the Greencastle parish, and that's where his funeral will be, because both his father and mother are from there, and their connections will be more in that direction. But I would have known him when he was at the national school. The three of them, Patrick, who has survived, Patrick McKinney, and both Alana and Thomas, they all attended together the national school in Glenealy. Mm-hmm. So, and during that time, of course, I was involved there during the the first confessions, communions, and visit the school regularly. And you them all as kids, but the problem too is that, not the problem, but the fact that Alana was at the Carndonagh Community School and Thomas was at the Mayville Community College, meant that all those young people from all those schools are involved. So it's and their families. So it's the burden will be shared, I know, but at the same time, it's very, very difficult for the whole community.
And you mentioned Patrick Hope, who was also involved in the collision. Hopefully, he has a speedy and full recovery. And also,
I think he is making a good recovery. I was talking to some of his family yesterday.
Right. Well, that's encouraging. It's still incredibly difficult, or going to be very difficult for him. And there was also a fourth young person that was in the vehicle but dropped off a little early. We have to think on them as well.
Yeah, especially Patrick and it's Malarkey. For our first name, my memory is not so good. It's something Annabelle or something like that. So they will need a lot of love and care and prayers as well, because having survived that, it's going to impact on them quite seriously. So they have to be very much remembered at this time too.
And Father, what words can you have for families and friends in such a difficult time, or do you just be with them?
Words mean very, 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 very little. I think you just have to be there. Have to be there as much as you can, and encourage others to be there as well, and to listen. And of course, you offer words of support as well. But just know that what they need now is a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of prayers, and. They knowing that everybody is concerned and everybody is with them, and please God, God will help them, and the whole community will help them. It's not going to be easy, but they will come through. They're very resilient in this community. I know them well over the years, because I'm still involved in ministry even while I'm retired in both Kildare and Mayville and these times.
And there's absolutely no doubt in how both Alana and Thomas have been described, that in their short life had such an impact on people. They seem to be two absolutely wonderful young people, Father.
Absolutely. And they were all great friends. They were all, and again, working in Simpsons together, built up a great camaraderie between them. And they were all on their way home after working on Sunday night. And this sadly had to happen. And these are going to be 4 very difficult days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Funerals are not till Friday. And as you may know, Thomas's Alana's funeral is in St Mary's in Bocken at 11 o'clock on Friday, and Thomas's funeral is in Ballybrack, St Mary's Ballybrack in Mayville at 2 o'clock on Friday. So it enables all those who know them both and love them to be at both places. So it's going to a very difficult, tough 4 days for everyone, especially for the families themselves.
And I suppose we have to keep a close eye too on their peer group, Father, because this will be for many the first major loss of their lives. Exactly.
We have to think about them and be there for them as well.
How are you, Father? You've been through an incredible... I know your thoughts are with the family and the friends and the victims, but you've been through an incredibly traumatic couple of days yourself as well, Father. How are you keeping? Are you okay? Are you speaking to anybody?
Well, I have plenty of friends.
Good. That's good to hear.
Loads of friends. The phone has been ringing quite a bit, yeah.
Very good, Father.
And I still have my own family around as well, and they've been,
That's good. Okay. Well, you have to look after yourself as
well. I'm a Cairn man myself, so I'm not too far away.
Okay. Father, thanks for helping us to come to terms with this in speaking about Thomas and Alana. And also remembering Patrick and the 4th occupant of the vehicle that was dropped off a little earlier. And we just join with you and hope that family and friends just can gather whatever strength they can to get through these next few days and weeks and months and years in reality, Father.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
That's Father Jim McGonigal there, retired parish priest in the Derry Diocese.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Hi folks, Gavin here from Divers Hyundai in Letterkenny to tell you about 2 Grand Tuesday, our one-off used car sale event. This Tuesday, November 7th, all used cars at Divers will have €2,000 off the listed prices online. Yes, that's 2 grand off every car for one day only. No gimmicks, no games, no joke. That's 2 Grand Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the day. For details, see diversgarage.ie.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top-quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Dunstore's Christmas pre-order service lets you enjoy the Christmas you deserve. Order the stars of your table like free-range turkey and ham as early as November 15th and collect between the 20th and 23rd of December. So while you're planning the perfect Christmas for your guests, let us do some of the work for you. Now available nationwide. Visit dunstoresgrocery.com to find your nearest store. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunn Stores. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply.
Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP and Nutrius Max Maize Mix are now on offer at your local Homeland. Buy 10 25kg bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
At PTSB, we know our customers' needs are evolving, so we're evolving too, by bringing the best of technology and people together. Every interaction, every innovation, and every connection is built upon a better understanding of you. And it all comes together to create a banking experience that's altogether more human. PTSB, altogether more human. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. And I don't want to come across as if I'm trying to take some high moral ground or something, but it's very unpleasant for me to see pictures in the papers today of the vehicle in which Thomas and Alana very sadly lost their lives. Someone's went to an awful lot of bother to, it seems, to scramble to get that picture, and I just don't see what purpose it serves at all, and it's reproduced in a number of papers today. But anyway, unfortunately, it does seem to be the way things are. Okay, John Boyle is the General Secretary of the INTO, and we welcome him back onto the programme. John, good to see you again.
Thanks very much, Greg. Good morning to you all.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Okay, so the INTO survey has highlighted an acute teacher shortage, which is impacting vulnerable children and their vital school supports. And we'll talk about how the shortage of teachers is leading to that. But the headline figure, 1,202 long-term vacancies. Is there a geographical difference in the situation? Like, are these problems more acute in more urban areas, or is the problem spread across the country, John?
Yeah, actually, Greg, the figures are even worse than what you said, because there's two different sets of figures.
809. Sorry, there's a current shortfall of 809 permanent, fixed-term and long-term substitute teachers, and it's anticipated having an additional 1,202 long-term vacancies within the next 3 months, which would tally up to over 2,000. Thanks for that, John.
No bother, Greg, but you see, the reason I drew attention to that matter is because that is a serious crisis, no matter what way we look upon it. And the Department of Education had the audacity yesterday to come out and try and play the whole thing down, saying that, sure, look at the majority of posts are filled. like I've been involved in teaching for over 35 years, and in all my life, I've never come across a situation that 2,000 groups of children in the primary schools and the special schools of Ireland had no guarantee of a teacher for a long part of the year, in many cases for the whole year. Permanent jobs being unfilled. So it's a serious issue, and that's why we did the survey, because we were told this time last year that 99.5% of these jobs were filled. And the government were acknowledging at that time that there was a big issue around substitution, which I know that's certainly a feature in County Donegal, particularly, in Letterkenny, where the schools are big, not having cover for your classes if a teacher's off sick or whatever. But the phenomenon of having real jobs, long-term work unfilled is very, very new. Very much geographical, as you suggested. It's probably in the rent pressure areas, to be fair. They would include Louth down as far as Wicklow, all of Dublin, Meath and Kildare. That's where the vast majority of these longer term vacancies are. But it's not exclusive now to that part of the world. There's up to 20% of the positions that are unfilled are outside of that area as well. And again, I want to emphasise the survey was primarily focusing on long-term work. Now, we also know that on top of that, we're going to be getting stats fairly soon from the department showing the number of teacher absences, whether that's going to doctor's appointment or whether it might be teacher getting married or whatever the case may be, that those positions are not filled either. And that's nationwide. And that's despite the fact that we had success, that government put in a supply panel system to cover teacher absences, but that's hit or miss. I mean, there's only something like 3 teachers covering the whole of the greater Letterkenny area on that scheme, which means that it's first come, first served, and there's many today that there's teachers' absences not covered. And on top of that, the government pulled out the cover for certain absences back in 2013. So if the teacher now has a very, very sick relative that they have to bring in an emergency to a hospital, they don't get sub cover for that anymore, whereas they used to back in the day. So this is all a symptom of the downgrading of the profession, as well as the geographical issues around rent pressure areas.
Well, that's what I was going to say, John. Particularly when you look at where the problems are more acute, and as you've quite rightly pointed out, it's not exclusive to those areas. It's the general societal issues that are problematic here, aren't they? In terms of access to accommodation, the cost of it, how much you're left over with at the end of the week. So how would the government address that successfully, do you think?
Well, I suppose from our perspective, that's not the only issue, and I will answer the question about how they can address that, because as a trade union movement on the Irish Congress of Trade Unions, I'm on the Executive Council, going to be going to a meeting now shortly. We've been running a Raise the Roof campaign around drawing attention to the deficiencies in relation to housing policy for some time now, and I've often suggested that perhaps it's time that we look at what's happening in some other jurisdictions, that frontline workers, now I'm not just talking about teachers here, I'm talking about the people who have to go to their workplace every day. And they would be guards, teachers, nurses, retail workers in the shops and so on. People who have to go to work every day, that maybe government needs to look at within their housing policy of defined housing. Or incentives for people like that in terms of not only their rent, but particularly maybe being able to have affordable housing to be able to get onto the housing list. And I know that there's a lot of discussions happening in the political world around all of that, but that would be a longer term solution. We believe that the solution to this crisis in Ireland, be it in rural Ireland where you can't get the substitute teachers, or in the urban areas where you can't even get permanent teachers, Gael schools where they can't get enough staff, special schools. The solution is make the profession more attractive. It used to be attractive up until 2009, and it's no coincidence in my view that the things that happened between 2009 2013 are really coming home to roost now. Now, they would be namely the cuts to the new entrant pay at that time drove thousands of young teachers, including many from my area, County Donegal, to Australia and to Dubai and to various other shores. And we are trying to get those people back. And why would they come back? Into a system that's, first of all, underfunded. I mean, the minister's out there talking nonsense this morning again about mobile phones in primary schools. Mobile phones are not a problem in primary schools. The problem in primary schools is we don't have enough funding to run the place. We don't have any promotional system for teachers to support the principal teachers and to give them a rung up on the ladder, because that was all stripped out in 2009. We have the biggest class sizes in Europe. We have difficulties as well with specific areas, be they island schools, Gaeltacht schools, Gaelscoil or special schools. If you improved yourself in such a way that you did specialist training to work in a special school, you used to get a diploma for special education. It was €2,000. That was stripped out in 2012. Is it any wonder that we don't have people specialising and prepared to work in special education, which is very, very challenging when that little incentive is no longer there? So we're asking government to have another look at this, the damage that they did back in those years, the teachers that they drove out of Ireland. At least give them an amnesty to come back here. And what I mean by an amnesty is, for that cohort of people who left these shores in 2011, 12, 13, who were away 10, 12 years, give them 12 years credit for the time they were abroad. When you come back here, you're not going to have to give up your position in a promotion post in Dubai or in Australia. That when you come back here, you have a career path and that you'll get some credit for the experience that you built up abroad. So they need to put money on the table here, not into teachers' pockets. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, it's an interesting point you make, particularly I think about the fact that some might feel the conversation about mobile phones and rushing that through cabinet is a bit of a distraction, but also too, if you have moved away and you wish to come home, do you want to start from square one? And the obvious answer to that would be no. So that would make an awful lot of logical sense. And of course, the thing too, which is really quite unsettling, is there are then children who are losing their SNA as they are redeployed within the school, students and people perhaps not properly qualified to teach children taking up the head of some of these classes. That's all something parents should be concerned about.
Yeah, well, just for absolute clarity now, it's not necessarily the SNA now that would be redeployed, but there's another worker in the school called a SET teacher. That is a special education teacher. Every school has one of those nowadays.
You are correct. And again, thank you for correcting me there.
No problem at all, Greg. This is all sort of education lingo, so don't expect you to be up to speed in all of this, but you're certainly very interested in education because you've had us on so many times. But in terms of our survey, what it bore out in the first 25 days of the school year, in the first 25 days of the school year, 1,100 schools now is all that answered the survey. That's a third of the schools. So this could be way worse than actually the survey is pointing out. But we'll base it on what we heard and what we learned from the survey. On over 5,000 occasions in 25 days in Ireland, a special education teacher had to be pulled out of their position to cover for a class teacher. And in a number of cases, the special education teacher was doing it for the whole month of September. Because basically, if children come into our primary schools, we're a bit different than the secondary. The main thing the parents want to know at the start of the year is, who's going to be teaching my child for the year in the class? Because the children all spend most of the day in the class, 5.5 hours. Who's going to be teaching the class? If the principal has a lack of teachers in the school to teach the mainstream classes, the principal's going to pull teachers out of special education. In a JESH school, the extra teachers for helping children with disadvantage, they're all going to be pulled. The teachers helping the Ukrainian children with the EAL supports for language, they'll all be pulled out of those positions into the mainstream classes. And who's suffering here? The most vulnerable children, the children who need the help the most. And that was one of the most starkest findings in our survey, that in the first 25 school days of the school year, on over 5,000 occasions in these surveyed schools, that was happening. If you take that for the whole year, that would be 50-something thousand occasions for the whole year.
But I think too, it is as well as too for the students that a special education teacher would assist. Those absences would have a much greater impact on that student potentially than a student that doesn't require an SET as well. So we don't really know the full extent of the impact of such measures. Really, it's quite worrying.
Very worrying. Now, I suppose what we can surmise is that we know that the remote learning didn't work so well for the children with the special educational needs during COVID, and we know that there was a deficit to begin with, and there was an intention to try to make up those gaps. And one way to make that up was to have individual attention from these teachers that are allocated by the department. To be fair to them, there's nearly 20,000 such teachers in the system, primary and secondary, to help vulnerable children. But I suppose the government needs to start acknowledging that because of their poor planning, and because that the profession is no longer as attractive as it used to be, and because so many of our young teachers were driven out of this country and are attracted to go to places where they're actually valued, because we have these underlying difficulties on top of the housing crisis, they are going to have to start tackling this. And to date, one of the things that they've done, to be fair, is they have allocated 610 extra places in the colleges. A demand of ours was to get 1,600 extra places in the colleges. But we all know that a teacher, it takes 4 years to train a teacher. So in the short term, the only way I see this being resolved is, apart from the work that they're trying to do to get more housing and more affordable housing, they're going to have to look at the national pay talks coming up now at how are they going to make teaching more attractive by giving people a career path, by incentivising people to work in these areas. And one of the ways to get you staff in a special school is reinstate the diploma allowance. One of the ways to get staff in disadvantaged schools would be to do what they promised to do back in the noughties, and give the teachers there an opportunity to upskill, and whilst they're upskilling, then when they achieve that qualification, that they get a small allowance for. These are the type, put money on the table basically to try to, because they did it for nurses last year, Greg. When they couldn't find nurses to go into the hospitals last December, what did they do? They got the Department of Finance to agree that a trainee nurse could get €135 per night, 4 nights of the week, to work, to live close to a hospital. But when it comes to teachers, they don't seem to have that as a priority, the education system.
I just want to put one thing to you, because I know you have another meeting and I won't hold you very longer, but I want to read this to you rather than when you're off air. Could you ask John how in 1989 one teacher could manage a class of 28? Now in 2023 you have a teacher, an SNA, a teaching assistant, a resource teacher helping in one class. It's got too cushy a number. Teachers get dinners brought in, get a clothing allowance. It's worrying how much money do they need. The only sector job that never stops moaning.
Yeah, well, first of all, teachers don't get dinners brought in. There's a new Department of Social Protection has a policy now of bringing in hot dinners, which is happening in lots of other parts of the world for children. And I would argue that maybe it's not as needed for all children. These measures across the board, free books for every single family in Ireland, certainly a cost of living crisis. It does help families, but at the expense of being able to employ teachers. I mean, it's the same budget coming from the government, and they seem to put more priority into the vote-catching measures like the free dinners. As for the class sizes, we have the largest class sizes in Europe. That reader, that listener's talking about 28 in a class. 28 was an outrageous size of a class at a time when a revised curriculum was written specifically for 20 children. That happened in 1999, 24 years ago. We now have another curriculum ever since then. The classrooms of Ireland are totally different nowadays. We have children with special educational needs no longer going to special schools. They're in the mainstream class.
Which is good.
We have children from foreign countries who arrived here and were very welcome here, who had no English as a first language, have to get extra supports. We have no mental health supports of any nature out there in society, because those parts of the public service have been stripped of resources as well. And all the parents of Ireland and the Irish society expect schools to be able to do so much nowadays. And teachers are absolutely pinned to their collar to be able to look after the classes that they have. I think parents want, it was proven this week in a survey done not by us but by the Medical Council, that the most trusted profession in Ireland is the teaching profession, even more than doctors. Now, we were delighted to hear that, but there's not much point in being trusted if you don't actually have a teacher in the first place. So our campaign here is for the benefit of children to get them teachers. and we have to call it out. Government is failing these children, and the most vulnerable children are losing out. And I wouldn't be doing my job I would be drawing attention to the fact that up to 5,000 children, vulnerable sets of children, didn't have a special ed teacher in September. There's something seriously wrong with the government that's out this morning talking about the use of mobile phones. They don't even use them in primary schools to begin with, and putting priority into those issues rather than dealing with the real issues. I guess these things don't capture votes, but I think parents are going to be onto their TDs about this, and parents are not going to suffer much longer. The fact that the children their rights to an education are being infringed by the fact that the government won't even provide their child with a teacher.
All right, strong words indeed. Listen, thank you very much, John. I appreciate all of your time this morning. John Boyle, INTO General Secretary there. Any views? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Easy Living Furniture would like to invite you, our customers, to our annual Family and Friends event this Thursday, the 9th of November from 1 o'clock. We'll be offering a magical 50% off all Christmas stock for one day only, including Christmas trees, decorations, baubles, garlands, wreaths, and so much more. Don't miss out on our most enchanting sale of the year. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, this Thursday from 1 p.m.
Restex Beds and Furniture special offer for this month only. They're giving a free pack of hotel-grade pillows for every customer when you buy a bed or mattress. T's and C's apply while stocks last. Call into their showroom at Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Suffering from joint pain, shin splints or foot injuries, we can help you with our range of footwear and experience. We select the best options from all the major brands: Brooks, Asics, New Balance, Hoka and On Footwear. Step into our safe size experience. We will update your gait analysis, measure your feet and recommend what will support your body and joints. Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
Kids are full of curious questions. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, empowers children to investigate the science behind simple questions just like these ones. Find out how your school can get involved at esbscienceblast.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, let's have a look at that weather forecast for today. If I can get it up here in front of me, I can, of course. And I can tell you that a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers this morning. The showers will become less frequent in the afternoon, leaving a mostly dry day. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in a light to moderate westerly wind. Terry Doherty joins us on the programme now. Terry, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today.
You're very welcome, Greg. And it's with a mixture of sadness and disgust that I join you this morning. My brother John was a detective constable in our UC station in Noma, and on a visit home to our widowed mother, he was ambushed and murdered on the 20th of October 1973. Now, the 20th of October 2023 was the 50th anniversary of John's murder, and the memorial service that was held in the cemetery in Castleban was highlighted very much on radio and television. And the large crowd that came there to be with the Doherty family was indicative of the respect and the esteem that John was held in. We had the Reverend Canon Charles McCartney, chaplain to the RUC George Cross Association, Oma, and Father Colin O'Doherty, parish priest, Clonley Lifford, both who officiated in the dedication and the service of remembrance and the laying of a poppy wreath. Now, sometime during the darkest hours of the Saturday the 4th of November, individuals invaded the sacred space of John's grave to steal, yes, to steal a memorial stone and a poppy wreath. I don't know who or what they represent. I suppose evil would be an appropriate word. But if they think that by removing the memorial stone and the poppy wreath will bring an end to John being remembered and honoured, they're badly mistaken.
What do you think?
After John,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Terry. I won't interrupt.
Okay, Greg. After you asked the question, yeah.
I was going to say, what do you believe motivated the persons responsible to do this?
Just because John was a member of the RUC and highly he was and what he represented. And it's just because John was a member of the RUC. And shortly after John's death, a memorial plaque was erected inside the door of the old RUC station in Omagh at Held Pride of Place. And it actually survived and became unscathed with the bombing of the station. And when the new station opened, the stone was then transferred and mounted on a wall especially selected in the new station. And John is there along with all his colleagues who are named on the wall, who also made the ultimate sacrifice. And they are remembered and honoured every year. And I thank the committee in Omagh who are responsible for organising the memorial service every year in Omagh. And this year will be no different. They are honoured and remembered, and always will. And as long as the Doherty name exists, John will be honoured and remembered. And like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, the Doherty family will rise above this, and we won't lower ourselves to the level that those individuals that invaded the space of a graveyard, where everyone thinks graveyards and graves are a sacred place.
Just so we're clear, the grave was marked previously and there was never an issue. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, there was never an issue before. But we were a bit apprehensive once the memorial stone was placed on the grave. And in fairness to Ross Hussey, chairman of the RUC George Cross Association Omagh branch, he contacted me and wished to replace the stone. And I thanked Ross for his intentions, his good intentions. I thanked him from the bottom of my heart. And I said, Ross, no, we won't give these individuals another chance to steal a memorial stone from the grave. I may meet some of these people in the streets, I don't know. I haven't heard from the Gardaí. I haven't had a word from the Gardaí on the situation.
Does that bother you?
Well, I think it'd be nice if we had some member of the family had been contacted by the Gardaí.
Because you would see this obviously as a crime.
Yeah, it is a crime. Yeah, to steal something. Yeah, it is a crime of theft. But John will always be remembered. Mm-hmm. They'll never put the Doherty family down or John's name, regardless of who or what they represent. And I'm sure those individuals, there are monuments erected all over the place, and I'm sure those individuals wouldn't like those monuments to be vandalised.
Are you interested in the recovery of the memorial plaque? Because it was taken, it's probably somewhere.
No, the recovery, no. I have no hope in the recovery of it. Those people are hell-bent on removing the memorial stone and the poppy wreath. You know, it was easy targets. Like, you have to be a very brave man. Imagine being a very brave man. Like the threat offered by a memorial stone and a poppy wreath. And I'm sure you get the sarcasm in my voice. Mm-hmm. It's big. For those individuals to steal the stone and the poppy wreath, oh, they had to be brave men. Oh, my, they had to be brave men.
No one was ever held responsible for the death of John?
Yeah, there was a trial in the Central Criminal Court in Dublin, but they weren't convicted.
Okay. Right, Terry. Strong, passionate words, obviously, as people might understand. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much, Greg, for having me on. Thank you.
Okay. Terry Doherty there. 08660 25,000. A caller says, oh my God, that poor priest you had on earlier, my heart goes out to him. He sounds so upset. May God help everyone involved. And indeed, you can hear it in the voice. Good morning, Greg. Imagine 700,000 people are below the poverty line when 4 billion of our tax money is sent to Ukraine. This is our money, the taxpayers, not the government's. That 4 billion has gone to pay people's wages and to give small business loans. Our money should be spent on us, the people of Ireland, not Ukrainians. You see, again, and I'm sorry to labour the point, the money has not been taken from 700,000 people below the poverty line and transferred to Ukrainians. I mean, that's easy because you're angry at Ukrainians almost. In other words, why are they getting our money? But the bottom line is there's a ton of money, billions of euro that's been put away that could be used to help the 700,000. It's not either or. We can help other people and we can also help the 700,000 people. The money has not been taken from your pocket and given to somebody else. So it hasn't been taken out of your pocket and given to someone else. What happens is that someone's standing in front of you with €100 and they've given 50 to the other person and put the other 50 in their pocket. The money it's not that the resources have been taken from looking after the 700,000 people. There just aren't what some would say policies in place to ensure that we lift those almost 200,000 children. Many of them could well be Ukrainians as well, by the way. There is no, they're not distinguished by their background or race or nationality. If the money was spent correctly, people would feel that those people could be lifted out. I mean, I presume the food banks in this county are still under great pressure. If anyone working with some of the food banks are listening, let me know what the situation is there. We talked about it in great detail a couple of months back. I presume everything isn't rosy in the garden now, but it's very important that if you are angry, direct it in the right place. It's not your Ukrainian neighbour that's taken your money. It's that maybe money has been spent in that direction, but it doesn't mean there isn't money that could be spent to lift the 700,000 people below the poverty line above that poverty line. Thank you, Greg, on honesty of exposing the reality of time-lapse photography, Aurora. No, the naked eyes do not see painted skies of green and pink, and the real Aurora, as seen by the naked eye, are flowing, dancing wisps of coloured gases. That's just... It should be presented as what it is, right? If that's not what you can see with the naked eye, I think we'd be better off absolutely stating how the image was captured. That's all, because I could be down in court thinking I'm going to Donegal to see this amazing, and then you go up there and it's not quite as advertised, perhaps. But anyway, no one's doing it for nefarious or bad reasons. It's just how the images are captured, I'm sure. All right, listen, we're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices. We'll be right back thereafter with Community Garda information with Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh. That's coming up after the news and obituaries, that and so much more besides. So as I say, stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Finding a new car takes time. Searching, researching, comparing, test driving, shortlisting. It doesn't happen overnight, but 12 days should do it. Between November 1st and 12th, the 12 Days of Ford sales event can save you up to a whopping €5,000 on the Ford Kuga. With further offers for 2024 available on Puma and Focus when you finance with Ford Options. No rush, but do get a move on. Ford, bring on tomorrow. T's and C's apply at participating dealers until November 12th. Visit Ford.ie for details.
Workwear at Borderland Muff. Skiwear at Borderland Muff. For fashion jeans, winter coats and footwear. Christmas and Ski Wear Club now open at Borderland Muff. Stocking Columbia Vans, Apache Snickers and more. Open 7 days. Borderlandmuff.ie.
Make your next menswear choice at Watson Menswear Letterkenny. From suits to casual wear, there's big names to choose from like Andre, Tom Penn, Rima Zumo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. If you're going to a special occasion or big event, get fitted in style at Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, online at watsonmenswear.com or follow on social media for details of offers and new arrivals. The Christmas Club is also now open and a small deposit will secure any item.
How
How would you like to go on the holiday of a lifetime? Then why not join us for the Highland Radio Hoolie in sunny Salou? Spend 7 nights in the sun with some of Ireland's top entertainers, including Robert Mazzell, Jim Devine, Margot, Claudia Buckley, and many more, with live music all day, every day. Staying in the beautiful 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel, this is a trip not to be missed. Book now by calling Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. We'll see you in sunny Salou.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. A retired parish priest in North Inishowen says the tragic collision that took the lives of 2 18-year-olds in the early hours of yesterday morning has had reverberations right across the peninsula. Alana Harkin and Thomas Gallagher, both from Glenealy, died in a single car collision at Terrawee on the R238 just after midnight yesterday. Father Jim McGonigal was called to the scene, saying it was one of the most traumatic experiences of his 50-plus years in the priesthood. On today's 9 till noon show, Father McGonigal told Greg Hughes he's known all those in the car since they were children, and in the case of Alana Harkin, literally from the day she was born.
She was prematurely born in Altnagelban Hospital, and I was there. We thought at the beginning she would lose, but she won her fight, and she turned out to be one of the most wonderful young people that I've known in my lifetime. Thomas, he was in Mabill Community College because his family, even though they were living in Glenealy, they had more connections with the Mabill, the Greencastle parish, and that's where his funeral will be, because both his father and mother are from there. I would have known him when he was at the national school. The 3 of them, Patrick, who has survived, Patrick McKinney, and both Alana and Thomas, they all attended together the national school in Glenealy.
The HSE has responded to public concerns about respite care at St Joseph's Hospital in Stranraer. In a statement, they acknowledge it's necessary to send some respite patients to private nursing homes, but they say the situation is being kept under continual review. With more, here's Ellen Butler.
People in the Finn Valley say family members who traditionally received respite care at the facility are now being sent to private nursing homes in Letterkenny, while patients being discharged from Letterkenny University Hospital are being sent to St Joseph's for step-down care. In a statement, the HSE says all efforts are being made by the Older Persons Service to support older people availing of respite in Donegal, but at the same time the service must also offer post-acute hospital care to those older people who need a continued level of support. The service says in order to facilitate the demand for both respite and post-acute care, some respite services are now provided in private nursing homes within the area, all of which are registered facilities with HIQA and have the ability to provide the required care level. This will be kept under review on an ongoing basis.
Women in the west and northwest of Ireland have the highest life expectancy in the country. Figures from Eurostat show women in the region have a life expectancy on average of 84.9, while men have an average life expectancy of 80.4. That's marginally below the Eastern and Midlands region. The life expectancy for women across the whole of the European Union was 82.9 and men 77.2. The Agriculture Minister says nitrates derogation will be to the fore of discussions with the EU Environment Commissioner when he arrives here later this month. Charlie McConalogue says he's accepted an invitation by him and the Taoiseach and will visit Ireland on November 23rd. It follows major rows between farming groups and the government over changes to the current limits, which will take effect in January. Minister McConalogue says the government will be seeking to retain the 220 kilogram limit.
Both myself and the Taoiseach invited the Commissioner to come to Ireland. We're currently finalising a visit from the Commissioner for the 23rd of November. So I look forward to him coming to Ireland and to being able to see firsthand the work that farmers are carrying out, and also for us then to through that visit, start making sure that we are carrying out the work that's going to be necessary to retain the derogation when the current one expires at the end of 2025, because it's really, really important to the farming sector.
Jason Corbett's children are due to give victim impact statements in court in the US today. The Limerick man was beaten to death in his home in North Carolina in 2015, with his wife Molly and her father Tom Martins now pleading guilty to manslaughter. Mr. Corbett's son and daughter, who he shared with his first wife Mags, who has now died, are due to give their statements later, with the sentence hearing due to finish tomorrow or Thursday. The Irish Independent's Southern correspondent Ralph Regal, who's in North Carolina, says one line the prosecution is pursuing is a pattern of lies from Molly Martins.
Just to give you an example, like her college roommate was told that she had a baby sister who died of cancer. She went so far to have a picture of a child in a frame, and of course she never had a sister. The prosecution's case clearly is that if she can't be believed in these type of details, how on earth can she be believed?
Well, the forecast and Met-Éireann tell us to expect a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers this morning. The showers becoming less frequent as the day goes on, leaving a mostly dry afternoon. Top temperatures 9 to 11 degrees Celsius in a light to moderate westerly wind. Tonight, wet and breezy with rain and drizzle extending right across the area, accompanied by fresh to strong and gusty southerly winds. Dry and clear conditions with westerly winds following from the west. Lowest overnight temperatures 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. Rain clearing early tomorrow morning, and for the rest of Wednesday, expect sunny spells and scattered blustery showers in top temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees Celsius in a moderate to fresh and gusty west to southwest wind. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Keep up to date with all the news of the day on our website, highlandradio.com. But from the news team for the moment, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 7th of November. The death has taken place of Alana Harkin, Falmore, Glenealy. Alana's remains will leave Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, going to her home via Carndonagh and Glenealy Village. Funeral Mass on Friday morning at 11 in St Mary's Church, Buchan, Culdaff, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the neonatal unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The funeral mass can be viewed live on culdaffparish.com. The death has occurred of Samuel Sammy Sheehan, 2 Westbrook, Buncrana, Donegal, formerly of 16 Rathowan Park, Derry. Sammy's remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, Buncrana, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Annie Boyle, Dr McCloskey Crescent, Glenties, formerly of Coolvoy, Doohery, reposing at Chauvelin's funeral home, Sandfield, Ardra, this evening from 5 o'clock, with removal at 6:30 to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11, with burial afterwards in Fintown Cemetery. The death has occurred of Kieran Gilchrist, Hawthorne Heights, Letterkenny, reposing at Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, from 3 o'clock until 7 o'clock this evening. The house is private, please. Private cremation tomorrow in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. No flowers, please. Donations in lieu to Donegal Search and Rescue, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. And the death has occurred of Sean O'Hay, 11 Tara Court, Letterkenny. Removal this morning to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyrain, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on the parish YouTube channel. Burial afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Family time, please, before the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Is umi muthacán agus ceis de bheith agat nuair atá leanamh ar an mbealach. Be Carol Foyle ó cheanolaithe sláinte ar do chruss. Agus ó mychild.ie ó aimimanacht na seirbhíse sláinte. A caróig leat san ihe. Cibé rud a tharlóí. Agus ó thuairthaigh tuairde de rihan lei, mother leis na ceistena go léir. Táimid an sin can cabhú leat. Mar sin, té chuig mychild.ie le cóirla a oil. Ó aimimanacht na seirbhíse sláinte.
The The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme at 9 minutes past 10. Just to remind you that Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh will be joining us very shortly with the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána, which you can hear first every Tuesday, of course, on Highland Radio. Some comments just as we head towards the break. Understandable that Donegal have households without a TV licence. We have the worst Seaview signal in all of the 32 counties, on a par with East Antrim for signal black spots. My area has no Seaview service but has a 2RN RTE mast built with licence fee, but it's leased entirely to commercial mobile phone companies with no Seaview transmitter installed. Hi Greg, can you ask a councillor or someone from the HSE why the day centre for older people, the dental clinic, it had been in the St Joseph's for over 50 years, and Chiropody Clinic, these three services have not come back since COVID? I will certainly make an inquiry on your behalf. Occasionally I have a coffee with my food in McDonald's. I have to use 6 tiny packs of milk to cool the coffee. There's approximately a teaspoon of milk in each container. I don't understand why McDonald's use such tiny packs. If there were 3 times the amount of milk in the plastic wrappers, it would reduce the plastic waste considerably. The current status is environmentally damaging. A random one. We get those too. Someone's noticed that they're in McDonald's. They're wondering, why are these sachets so small? Okay. Back to St Joseph's. The situation in St Joseph's that there was always 6 beds available for respite, but respite or step down. The HSE have ordered St Joseph's that 2 are being kept for respite and 4 for step down from Letterkenny Hospital for the foreseeable future. I disagree that this is fair or a good use of beds. Thank you for that. The civil amenities site in Letterkenny for recycling is only open on a Thursday. Only electronics are free. In Strabane, you can take in a large van and everything is free. They are also open 6 days a week. In Letterkenny, I have to pay €20 to dispose of things. It's completely free in the north. The amount of rubbish on the roads is crazy. If the council fined them at least €1,000, we could get rid of the problem. I have a washing machine here and I'm waiting to get rid of it. That's free though, isn't it, on Thursdays? There are various recycling centres that are open at different stages. I mean, your cardboard's free, isn't it? Paper stuff is free. Clothes are free. Clothing materials, I thought. But the caller says that general waste, obviously there's going to be a charge. It is a different structure in the north because you do pay rates which do contribute to things such as the access to the dump. On Tuesday, right, okay, I can read this one. I just want to double check that. On Tuesday night, I was coming home via Garton and 3 young fellas were firing fireworks at cars. They went in front of my car in a quad and stopped, so I had to stop. They threw the firework under the car. When it exploded, it scared the life out of me. Now, when I think if the damage they could have caused, I shudder. Wow, that's very troubling, very worrying. If you have any more information on that, please let us know. OK, we're going to be back with Community Garda information after these.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 7th of November. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S2. It's game number 45. The numbers are 80, 23, 79, 50, 52, 82, 78, 62, 49, and finally 83. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Uno, dos, tres. Ahena Doa 3. 1, 2, 3. The Arona, the Ateca and the Tarraco. 3 great SUVs from SEAT. And when you order during the SEAT 241 open event, each one of those is available with a free 3-year service plan, 3 years tyre insurance and 3 years roadside assistance. Visit SEAT.ie to find out more about our 241 open event from October 23rd to November 5th. Great things come in threes at DMG Motors, Donegal Town. Terms and conditions apply.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
Here at Century Complex, the Christmas countdown has begun. We're now taking bookings for Christmas parties, private dining, premier cinema experiences, school tours and more. Get in touch with our team on 074 9121976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and now it's time for Community Garda information, and we welcome into studio Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh, attached to the Letterkenny Garda station. Of course, Ewan, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Greg. How's things today?
Things are okay. Thanks very much, Ewan. We'll start with an appeal in relation to the awful tragedy in Inishowen, which we were talking about a little earlier on today, Ewan.
Yes, Greg. Gardaí from Buncrana and the emergency services attended a fatal road traffic collision on Sunday night, Monday morning there, the 6th of November, at approximately 12:30am on the R238 at Turrawee, Glenini. Sadly, two occupants, it was a one vehicle collision, Greg, and sadly, two occupants of the vehicle were pronounced deceased at the scene and have been named as Anna Harkin and Thomas Scholar, both 18 years of age. And our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the two young people and their friends and their loved ones. The third occupant of the car, a male in his late teens, was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to be treated for injuries which are non-life threatening. So Gardaí and Buncrana are appealing to anyone who may have witnessed the collision to contact them. Again, any road users who are travelling on the R238 in the early hours of Monday morning between midnight and 1am and who have dash cam footage, we're asking them to make it available to the Gardaí and Buncrana. And again, anybody who may have information in relation to collision is asked to contact Garda Station at Buncrana 07493 20540. That's 07493 20540. Or again, the confidential line 1800 666 111, or indeed any Garda station, Greg.
Yeah, and of course, as we've mentioned before, the Gardaí will look after downloading and finding the relevant parts of that camera footage. The public just have to make it available to them. Now, your colleagues in Ballyshannon investigating a road traffic collision.
Yes, this is a collision which occurred last Friday night, Saturday morning, the 4th of November, shortly after 1am, on the N3 at Temple New, Ballyshannon. So that's the Ballyshannon-Balleek Road. The collision involved two pedestrians and a vehicle. Again, the vehicle was travelling from the Ballyshannon in direction of Balleek at the time of the collision, as were the pedestrians. Both pedestrians were taken to hospital to receive treatment for the injuries sustained, and the driver of the vehicle was not injured. So Gardaí and Ballyshannon are appealing to anybody who may have travelled along this stretch of road between 12:30am and 1:15am, that's last Saturday morning, the 4th of November. And again, anybody who has dash cam to make it available to us. And again, if anybody has relevant information to the collision, they should contact Ballyshannon Garda Station 07198 excuse me 58530, or again the confidential line 1800 666 111.
Okay, now a burglary on the Pierce Road's being investigated.
Yes, this is a burglary which occurred in the early hours of this morning, Greg. It happened on a business premises on the Pierce Road, Tuesday the 7th of November. So the alarm was activated and Gardaí were alerted to the fact that a burglary was in progress shortly before 6:20am, so that's about 4 hours ago. Gardaí attended the scene but nobody present. The glass in the front door of the premises had been smashed to gain entry and some damage has been caused within. Again, this investigation is at an early stage and we are in the process of establishing whether or not anything was stolen during the course of the burglary. So at this stage we're appealing to anybody who was in the area at the time, the Pierce Road area this morning around 5:45am to 6:45am, and whose dashcam footage to make it available. And again, the premises in question is situated, Greg, on the Pierce Road near to the entrance of the Oliver Plunkett Road. And again, anybody travelling in that area this morning and you noticed any suspicious activity or saw anybody in the area at the time, to make contact with us at Letterkenny 07491 67100, or again the confidential line.
The next appeal is in relation to a worrying incident in Donegal Town.
Yes, this is a criminal damage by fire incident, Greg, which happened in the Milltown area of Donegal Town last Tuesday, so a week ago today, at approximately 8:45 p.m. on the 31st. Gardaí were alerted to the fact that a derelict factory was on fire at the location, and the fire services attended the scene and extinguished the fire, but there was extensive damage caused to the interior of the building. And again, we believe the fire may have started between 8 p.m. and 8:45 p.m. and at this stage we believe it was started maliciously. So again, anybody who was in the area at the time and who was dash cam, to make it available to Gardaí at Ballyshannon, or anybody who has information to contact Ballyshannon Garda Station 07198 58530.
All right, 2 instances of criminal damage either end of the county. We'll start in Bundoran at Church Road.
Yes, this is damage to a car in the middle of the day, actually, in Bundoran on Church Road last Tuesday, the 31st, between 9 a.m. and midday. So a female person had parked a car in the car park at the area and returned that the rear passenger window had been smashed. Fortunately, nothing had been taken from the car. And again, anybody who may have dash cam or anybody who have any information to contact Ballyshannon Garda Station 07198 58530.
And in Carndonna?
Yes, this is an incident which happened last Tuesday night, the 31st, Halloween night. The people involved may have seen it as some sort of a prank, but that's not how it's been looked at by the injured parties and by the Gardaí. So 2 males entered the rear garden at an address at Chapel Street, Carndonna, and it caused significant damage while there. They took a number of flower pots and 2 bins with them when they were leaving. One of the bins was recovered at Church Dance Quarters, Carndonna, but none of the other property has been recovered. Again, so that's last Tuesday night in Carndonna, Chapel Street. Appealing for anybody who travelled in the areas of Chapel Street or Church Dance Quarters, and again who is dash cam, to make it available, and to contact anybody who may have information, to contact Gardaí in Buncrana 07493 20540.
Interesting events taking place. Fraud talks at secondary school. I think this is really proactive, particularly in relation to money laundering, because it's often students when they head off to college that can find themselves getting involved in this really serious activities. So sort of starting early, I suppose, Ewan.
Yes, we have a Detective Garda, Jerry McCready. He's our fraud expert, and he's in the process of giving a number of fraud prevention talks at secondary schools. He's already called to do a number of these recently, and they're going down very well, as you say, Greg. The topics he's discovering are money muling and money laundering, which are very relevant at the minute. Money muling is, again, quite prevalent in the area. Previously, it was third-level students we would find who were being targeted, but now that has changed into second-level students.
Right.
So maybe somebody heading off to college or studying to have some money to save for college, whatever, or save for the summertime. The temptation is there. So anybody who wants to talk from Detective Garda McCready, if you contact the station at Letterkenny 07491 67100 and leave a message from there.
Because on the face of it, it seems like easy money, and if you're not familiar with the money muling, money laundering, you might not be aware of the consequences. But as has been said before, ignorance isn't a defence in these matters. It's treated very, very seriously. So, whether it's taught in school or not, a good idea for parents, grandparents, just to mention this to the young people.
Yes, well, you see, you could receive this money innocently, thinking that you're just holding it for somebody for a temporary period. And again, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Even if the money is not, even if the money mules are not involved in the crimes which generate the money, they are always acting illegally, but laundering the proceeds of crime, helping criminal syndicates move funds easily around the world and remain anonymous. So.
All right, okay. Now, great news from the Garda Youth Award winners from a Donegal perspective, Ewan.
Yes, we had 2 winners at national level. 4 categories overall award was presented, and the winners from the 4 categories were then put forward to represent the Donegal division. We're delighted to hear that 2 of the category winners from Donegal division also won at national level. They travelled to Portlaoise last Saturday there. I saw the lovely photographs, and they presented with their national awards. The students from Mulroy College, Milford won a national award in the special recognition category for all the work that they've done in helping the people's victims of the Creeshla tragedy. And Adam Locke won a national award in the individual category. I think Adam has set up a coaching academy in his school in Glenties. So they're winning everything in football, so I hope this isn't the start of
well, I'll tell you, we were chatting to him yesterday, and if he's got anything to do with it, we'll have a few people from our area lining up for Ireland in the not too distant future.
Well done to all the winners.
It's
and again,
fantastic. It really is.
We hope they had an enjoyable day.
Yeah, and we always do really well, and rightly so. Two remarkable, an individual and a group of individuals, very worthy of their recognition there on a national stage, which is great. Can you ask Sergeant Walsh, do the cycling lanes, this is in Letterkenny, from Clanree to Polestar, is it the law to use them? As I've noticed, a lot of cyclists are not using them, causing some cars to be held back. And I've spoken to members of cycling clubs before, and I put the question to them about, say, for instance, the cycle lanes available just close to where we are now, but they prefer to use the road because the bikes, they believe, aren't well suited to the cycle lanes. So is there any obligation on cyclists, whether they're casual cyclists or dressed up like they're in the Tour de France, is there any obligation on them to use cycle lanes?
Well, it depends on the circumstances, Greg. I think in general, a cycle lane or track is part of the road or footway, which is provided primarily for the use of pedal cyclists, and pedal cyclists are advised to use these tracks whenever they are provided. So there are two circumstances where they must use the cycle track or lane. One is you'll see them in urban areas, cycle tracks in pedestrian areas like busy streets, pedestrian streets, where they must use. And again, you see contraflow lanes where cyclists are cycling against pedestrians or traffic. Those are the two circumstances where cyclists are obliged by law to use the cycle lanes. In the normal run of the cycle lanes, we advise them to use it, but it's not obligatory.
Right, okay. But, I mean, if it's safe to do so, use them, I would suggest.
Well, I think the new 4-lane it's newly, freshly tracked, so I can't see how it couldn't be safe,
Well, we shall see. Can you ask the Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh, if construction companies can close road lanes whenever they like? Last Friday at 1 p.m, I was driving on a road and it was closed. Noticed not many vehicles moving on with green lights. On passing the Polestar, the road was coned to one lane. The dual carriageway was also coned to one lane each way for tree cutting. This on a bank holiday Friday. It seemed ridiculous to me. Thanks, Daniel. Now, I presume they're talking about the ongoing work to build the Great Wall of Letterkenny there along the sides of the four lanes.
You're good.
And of course they were cutting trees on the central medium, I think it is called, is it, on the dual carriageway. But are they not given a general pass to facilitate works to close when it's needed to be, or what's the story?
I don't think general pass is the words we'll be using, but I suppose we start with a simple thing. The official road closures for events like the rally, coming to my head, Christmas tree lights, Paddy's Day, they all have been done officially through under the Road Traffic Acts.
Okay.
So they apply to the Donegal County Council for the road closure. It's advertised in the paper. People are in good time for people to object or give their views. It comes to us as well for our views. That's where a plan, where you can plan for events. Mm-hmm. And I think for maybe what we're talking about here is maybe urgent roadworks that are needed where you wouldn't have the time under the legislation to get the ads in the paper. So the person who proposes to close the road must contact the engineers in Donegal County Council. They submit a traffic management plan to the council, and they either allow it happen or don't. And generally they would contact us as well to say that the dual carriage is going to be closed between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. on whatever nights of the week, just for our views and observation to let us know that it's happening. So generally, you can't just come along and put up a traffic light and close the road without permission from Donegal County Council.
Yeah. And in this case, we can only presume that they did do that.
Yes. Well, I was aware of the road closure on the dual carriageway. I did see an email on that, and I also received numerous emails on temporary road closures on the 4-lane. Okay. And it's all meant to be at non-peak times where it won't have as much impact on traffic that if you're closing the road at 9 o'clock or 8:30 or
I get you.
Things like that.
All right, listen, brilliant stuff. Thanks very much for that. Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh, a pleasure to have you in as always, so we look forward to seeing you again. That was Community Garda information. It'll be available for you to listen back on our podcast, watch back on our social media, and on Garda Síochána social media a little later on, and back live with you after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91260025. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Work was a nightmare. How about you, love?
I dropped my phone in the loo.
Disaster.
Life's discomforts are no match for the advanced comforts of the Citroën C4 and the new C4X. Hydraulic cushion suspension filters out road imperfections, while our advanced comfort seats create an experience that isn't just comfort, it's advanced comfort. The Citroën C4 and new C4X. Book a test drive today.
Is booking dental appointments slipping your mind during your busy week? The new patient portal at Blue Poppy Dentistry and Orthodontics makes it so easy. You can book appointments out of hours, even on a Sunday. See for yourself by visiting bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Medical card patients welcome in our Donegal Town practice.
The Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th. A great weekend of fun in Ardra. Visit Matchmaker's Den or join in the fun and sing along in Ardra all weekend. All details on ardra.ie. That's the Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th.
If you've lost someone close, it could help to talk. Why not call the Bereavement Support Line on 1-800-807077. Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're here to listen. Managed by Irish Hospice Foundation and supported by the HSE.
Show the Monday blues the door. Kick them into touch. Banish them for good. With a wee treat at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. Maybe a coffee and scone or an all-day breakfast or a burger and chip. With American-style booth seating, fast and friendly service, a menu packed with tasty choices at great value and loads of parking, it's a great stop-off any day of the week. Take back your Mondays at Kelly's Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Céad cúis le gleo the Erim. Na Hanivehe. Inil an Taracora. An Tinilra. Agus céad cúis le Contworts the Erim. Nuair nach dugtar ard ní smó chlampar na ferme agus ní hogan tú an Contwort faoi deara. Bhí ardalach gcónaí inilra na ferme. On údar an sláinte agus sábháilteachta agus an rion talmhaíochta bí agus mara teaga hsa.ie.
Now, I'm kicking myself a little bit because a question that was on the tip of my tongue when we were talking to John from the INTO was are teachers who are available or newly qualified, are they able to get full long-term contracts in these positions, or is that part of the issue? Maybe Deanne can give me an insight into this. Good morning, Deanne. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. So what's your situation? It's your daughter's situation that will sort of help us with this, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, she's qualified for the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to get employment is nearly impossible. Like, all I hear, they are talking on the radio, there's loads of jobs for teachers, there's loads of jobs. Every time I hear it, I go mad. There is no loads of jobs where we are. If you go to Dublin, you'll get a job, no bother.
Mm-hmm.
But the cost overcomes the profit. Like, to stay in Dublin, one of her friends headed off because she couldn't get a job around here.
Mm-hmm.
But she's making nothing. She's not even covering her rent.
Yeah, she's working to stand still.
Travel down. She's working for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be as well sitting at home, getting unemployment money. You'd be better off.
So your daughter has looked into it herself and for her friends, and taking up some of these jobs that are available in Dublin, for example, would be completely pointless. She would be going down there effectively to work for nothing.
Exactly what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
There would be no money in it. Try to save to build a house. Like, turning 24, 25, that's the time where you want a job. But all the talk before it was there's loads of jobs for teachers, there's loads. There's nothing where we are.
Yeah.
They might get a maternity leave, they might get, but sure, there's no holiday pay, nothing. You have to sign on in the summer holidays, Christmas holidays, that there. There's nothing.
And of course, as well, if you were looking to save to build a house or to have some sort of a, you can't display that as your employment for a mortgage, for an example, or even for a loan.
Well, you can't get a mortgage.
Yeah,
because you haven't got a job.
So, but she is working, but it's ad hoc.
She's working, but there's nothing secure about it. Like, if the person comes back tomorrow, she's out on the street. Like, it's just she's falling in for somebody that's off for a while.
We heard
But
a
there's
listener
no job.
earlier say teaching's a cushy number now compared to the way it used to be. Is that what you hear? Is that the experience in your
Oh
family?
my God, definitely not. She is teaching 30 children, 15 senior, 15 junior infants, in a classroom with no help. 30 children between 4 and 6 years of age.
And what's
tell me that's a cushy job?
No, and
No
what's
way.
keeping her here, Diane? Because they'd move heaven and earth to get her to England or to Australia or to Dubai or another country out in that part of the
Well-
world. Like, does she talk to you about saying stuff? I'm going to have to do something like that.
Well, she keeps saying, I'll have to move if I don't get a permanent job. There's no future here. There's no. How could you save? I'll have to go for so many years. But at the end of the day, she's a home bird. She
Yeah, I
loves
get
going
you.
home.
I get you.
Like,
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
So-
And you don't want to hear that yourself either. It's your daughter,
No.
Yeah.
Well, sure, that's it. You qualify. You spend 4 years in Dublin, 4 tough years of college, away from home. Not easy, no money, because everything to go on to do college level.
Yes.
Sure, it costs you a fortune.
Oh, no. Okay.
And then to turn around and there's no job guaranteed out of it.
All right, listen, I wish it were different. Diane, thanks for helping us understand. Have a lovely day and best wishes to your daughter and the rest of the
All
family.
right.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, we are joined on the programme now by Derry filmmaker Margot Harkin. Good morning, Margot.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
It's great to have you on the programme. I'm good, thank you. Right, now, you have seen the release of an insightful and heartfelt documentary called Stolen. It received a cinematic release there on Friday. Tell us a little bit about the film, Margot, and how you got involved in the project.
Well, the project is not something that I got involved in. It's a project that I devised in 2017 after Catherine Sapone stated in the Dáil that significant amount of human remains have been found in the site of the former mother and baby home in Tuam, which is now a playground. And they'd done a preliminary examination because Catherine Corliss, the local historian, believed that children had been buried there. She discovered that 796 babies died at the home, but could find no evidence of their burial records, which is a legal requirement. And so that's really how mostly the public knows about this story. But in fact, we went on a journey which involved a lot of research. And when I say me, I'm talking about our co-producers, Wildfire Films in Dublin and my own company, Buzzin Productions in Derry. And we discovered that not only Tuam, but other homes throughout the country had many, many children who disappeared, or not who disappeared, who died, and there were no burial records, and we still don't know where the remains are. So that was the start of it, really,
A lot of people obviously are familiar with the mother and baby homes story, but do you think maybe many of us aren't really or don't have a real grasp of how the system operated, the actual full role the Catholic Church played in or at least facilitated this stuff happening? Is it important, do you think, that people watch this to get an understanding of the whole situation?
Well, I would never force people to watch anything.
No, I never said you would, Margot.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, do you think it would be useful?
Yes. Well, the thing is, I think most people, they know the basics of the story. They know all the, the gory headlines like 797 babies found in a septic tank in Tuam. They weren't actually in a septic tank. They were in a sewage works underground. And, a septic tank, we imagine slurry and babies swirling around in it, but that's not exactly what happened. But yeah, I think we all have followed the story to an extent. And read some of the newspaper stories about it, but this is like a direct feed to the witnesses, the people who experienced in different ways the effects of being placed in mother and baby homes over decades, from 1922 onwards up to 1998, this was happening. And there were homes all over the country, in the south and in the north. In the north, it wasn't just Catholic church organisations. There were state homes and Protestant homes of different denominations within the Protestant churches. And it affected practically everybody I've spoken to, since I started making this, tells me that they know somebody or other who had an experience in some way. They were connected in some way to somebody who went through this experience. But you don't actually know it till you hear the witnesses speak. You can't beat that, hearing people talk about their experiences. So that's why I think, yes, it's worth seeing. And it's been getting the most stunning reviews. I've never had reviews like it in my life, which is good because, most people don't want to look at this story, but actually the reviews are saying this is highly watchable. And, it's something that everyone really should watch if they can.
Yeah, indeed. And also to, you know what, yes, it started in 1922 circa, but this is part of our recent history as well, relatively recent history as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, a lot of the survivors are still here. They're elderly now, many of them, and this was for me an opportunity to catch them, catch their voices, catch their evidence before they passed on. We're all getting older, and most people, a lot of them are in their late 60s or 70s. Many of them have died already. It is very recent, but people are still with us. So this is why we made it, to let us hear what they have to say.
And how important is it that story is heard, that their voices are heard?
Well, I think it gives us an insight into how we were. As I say at the start of the film, I love this country. I can't explain how much I love it. I love Ireland. I love its people. I love everything about it. I love our arts and our literature. But these things were going on, and it's hard to imagine that they were going on under our noses and we didn't know the extent of it. So, I think it is useful for people to get the full story. I mean, the film only scratches the surface because there were thousands of people affected like this, so it's a representative sample. But it's enough to let you know what actually went on. And it's important to know about what you let happen in your own name and to try and make sure it never happens again,
Yeah, for sure. But then you see other things happening right now and you just wonder, and not necessarily maybe to the same extent, but you see things happening right now and you wonder if in, decades, once they have lapsed, if you look back and we're living in scandals that we should be doing more about right now, if that makes sense. A bit convoluted,
yeah, absolutely.
But there's stuff going on now
Gaza.
that is...
you're talking about Gaza, and I think what's happening at the moment is an outrage. But we're not here specifically to talk about that just now. But I take your point that, do we ever learn? And I would agree, unless you actually get it into your mind what we've actually done and the effects on people. That's the important thing, is the effects on people and how it affected them down generations and blighted their lives. There's more chance, if you understand that, to make sure it doesn't happen again. Mm-hmm. If you turn a blind eye, well, you're not really playing your part as a citizen, as far as I'm concerned,
No. Margot, how can people see the documentary?
Well, it was released in selected cinemas last Friday, the 3rd of November. So it's on in various multiplexes around the country. It's on in Manor Point in Cork. It's on in Strand Road Omniplex in Derry. It's on in the Omniplex in Salt Hill in Galway. It's on in the Omniplex. No, it's on in the multiplex, Ritz Multiplex in Cookstown. It's on in the Palace in Galway. It's on in the Irish Film Institute in Dublin, and the Omniplex in Rathmines. And I think it's going to be extended into one of the cinemas in Westport as well this week. Excellent. And there may be a couple of extensions.
And obviously, Margot, it's very important that it gets its release in cinema and people have an opportunity to view it in that environment. But going forward, as often happens with things that are once in the cinema, has it been picked up yet? Or is that work ongoing by any of the streaming platforms or any of the terrestrial broadcasters?
Well, part of the conditions of our funding was that we had a broadcaster on board, and we do have RTÉ on board, but that'll be down the line.
No problem. Yep.
Much later next year, and eventually it will be on streaming platforms, but there's a whole kind of schedule with independent films. You start with cinema if you can get it, and then you move on to TV and streaming.
Okay, Margot, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on a really important piece of work. Thank you for your time, and have a lovely day.
You too.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
That's director of that documentary, Stolen, Margot Harkin. 086 60 25,000. Perhaps you've had an opportunity to see that. Let us know what you think. Traffic lights at the Polestar. Jammed at the Dry Arch roundabout at 5 to 10. It's a disaster. People are saying, give it time, it's going to work. I'm sitting here at the Dry Arch roundabout since 10 to 9 and I'm late for a meeting. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We were told that within a week it would be as bad as it was before. For those of you watching, actually, whilst we're talking, I'll play a little video that someone sent in of the traffic there. Quality is not fantastic. They're not going to win an Oscar for this, but just looking at the video, there is an awful lot of traffic backed up on the 4 lanes this morning, waiting to get into Letterkenny. And on it goes and on it goes. Has it a situation improved? I don't want to bore listeners, generally speaking. You know, those of you who don't go to Letterkenny, aren't from Letterkenny, I can understand that some of these conversations can be frustrating if they go on too long. But the bottom line is there's traffic this morning right out around the roundabout at the Clanree there. Loads of traffic trying to get in on that roundabout down from Lurgy Brack, and on it goes. Okay, not great at all. What has the traffic been like? Has it improved? We were told it should be as bad as it was before the lights went in, if not a little bit better. I'm still watching this traffic. It's backed up all the way up Lurgy Brack as well. My word. Okay. Not good if you were sitting in it. Someone sitting on the back of a bus set that into us. We do appreciate it. If you've any commentary on the traffic, please let us know. I feel very sorry for the poor man that lost the memorial of the grave just because he was an RUC man. People bend so low to steal stuff from graves. I would hate to see something lifted from graves here in Ramelton. Ukraine, the Ukrainian people are in a dire situation. We're a lot luckier here in this country and we need to be nicer to them. We don't realise how much we have. I think for the most part there is a very warm welcome from what I see anyway, and I'm open to correction on that, of course. Teachers and doctors. Teachers are all anyone talks about. Doctors and nurses work far harder. Years ago they had bigger classes, they get so many holidays these days, but doctors and nurses work far harder. But why would we pitch doctors and nurses against teachers? I don't see any benefit or what that might achieve. They are groups of individuals that do important work, and presumably most people think they should all be appropriately rewarded for their efforts. What's John's view on the vile sexual education being taught and shown to mere children? Well, just double check what's being shown. Have you seen the documentation? Because I have. Yes, of course, Caroline, no problem. I'm trying to speak and you're speaking in my ear. Yes, of course I will. Have you actually gone through the documentation? I have. I don't see any vile sexual education being taught and shown to mere children. What I see, and I'm open to correction, and I'm open to correction again, and I'm sorry to repeat that phrase, what I see is information that I think would help prevent a child being abused, which is something that unfortunately too many children in this country have experienced and continue to experience. I've, as I say, I went through it all and I went through the different ages. I didn't see anything that I'd be concerned with my children seeing. I think it is quite well put together. But again, that's just a view, an honest view from me. Talk to me a little bit about the vile sexual education that is being shown to children. Get back in touch with us, 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Looks like we're in for a cold spell.
Perfect weather to chill out in a steaming seaweed bath on Sligo's shores.
Talk of scattered showers too.
Perfect weather for sea swimming off the coast of Waterford. Sure, you're already wet.
It's fierce windy out there.
Perfect weather to be swept off your feet on a romantic weekend in Cork City. Whatever the weather, it's always perfect weather to keep discovering. With great short breaks forecast right across Ireland, plan your next one now at discoverireland.ie.
Return, refund, recycled. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
Hi folks, Gavin here from Divers Hyundai in Letterkenny to tell you about Two Grand Tuesday, our one-off used car sale event. This Tuesday, November 7th, all used cars at Divers will have €2,000 off the listed prices online. Yes, that's £2,000 off every car for one day only. No gimmicks, no games, no joke. That's Two Grand Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the day. For details, see diversgarage.ie.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Lancome have a great beauty gift available this week. Buy 2 Lancome products, one of them to be skincare, and you will get a free 8-piece gift containing the full-size Galaxy Comfort Cleanser, Renerche Day and Eye Travel Size creams, and more iconic Lancome products. This is available until Saturday the 11th of November or while stocks last. Some T's and C's apply. Remember, for any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Pharmacy on Main Street, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, so showers will become less frequent in this afternoon, leaving a mostly dry day. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees and a light to moderate westerly wind. I'm joined in studio by Patricia Lee. Good morning, Patricia.
Hi, Greg. How
Thank
are
you so much for calling up. And Patricia, of course, is Research Officer and Team Lead with the Local Development Partnership. And Niamh Britton, Community Food and Nutrition Officer with Inishowen Development Partnership. Good morning to you too.
Hello, Greg. How are you? Thanks for having us here today.
No, it's great. It's great to have you in studio today. Right, and we're talking about a new and unique Zero Food Waste initiative, which aims to eliminate household food waste for numerous families in Inishowen. Niamh, do you want to start with explaining how this might work?
Yeah, of course. So my job as community food nutrition worker, this is a new role that is funded by the Slanchcare Healthy Communities by the HSE. And my role as a community food nutrition worker is to look at the issues of food insecurity and food waste in the Inishowen area. So food waste is a global issue and it has effects on the environment, social and economic consequences. So I started looking into food waste and what is the issue going on in Inishowen particularly. And food waste is a global issue, and 1/4 of the food that's being produced globally is being wasted, which is such a high number, especially when we're looking at the whole issue of food insecurity and people not being able to afford food and people skipping meals and using food banks and things like that. So there has been research done by the Environmental Protection Agency and they have been researching the situation with food waste within Ireland, and the research has shown that around 750,000 tonnes of food waste is being produced in Ireland yearly, which is a massive amount of food waste, and most of this food waste is coming from households, with 29% coming from of the food being wasted in households, which is the highest number, and this is costing households, even delving deeper into the research, this is costing households around €700 per year.
Yeah, it's really significant because, and also too, there's very few things that we can do that have an impact, right? But also impact us. I think the majority of people, most people listening to this program today, you know, we don't have money to burn, right?
Exactly,
so why would we waste food? And we'll talk a little bit about some of the measures that we can adopt that would limit food waste for a myriad of reasons. Patricia, what's the role of the Local Development Partnership in this?
So in Inishowen, IDP is a local development company, and the HSE has approached us to host the Slanchcare Healthy Communities in Inishowen. So 2 areas have been picked in County Donegal: Northwest Gaeltacht, which is being looked after by DLDC, and Inishowen. And so we offer a number of programmes under Slanchcare. So the focus is very much early intervention and prevention. So there's smoking cessation, there's healthy food made easy, there's parenting supports, and then there's also social prescribing. And Niamh's role is very unique. We have 2 community food and nutrition officers in County Donegal, so one is employed by DLDC and one in Inishowen, and they work very collaboratively and also with Cavan. And I suppose the focus is very much around food poverty and food insecurity. So many households don't have a secure supply of food coming into their homes on a weekly basis. And so they're unsure of what they have available to them to cook healthy and nutritious meals for their families. And we feel that part of that equation is what's being wasted as well. I come from a family of leftover queens. My mother was my late mother, and leftovers are a real nutritious option for families. And so under the Healthy Food Made Easy and now this zero food waste kitchen approach, it's about supporting families and offering them training programs so that they can look at the options and stretch the food that bit further, but also take into consideration the whole climate conversation and what we are wasting and what can be reused and repurposed.
Do you want to focus on the work of the Zero Food Waste Kitchen, Niamh?
Yeah. So the program is designed. It's supposed to be a fun and interactive program, and it has a cookery element as well to the program. But I suppose it's over 4 weeks. Week 1 of the program is on how to manage food waste at home. So looking at different tips of, like looking at food labels, how food should be stored correctly. Also,
I wonder if we polled listeners and they put their hand on the heart, would they be in an instant able to clearly differentiate between best before and use by?
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be a big issue. And I get asked that question all the time. And people are also confused about, whenever they have leftover food, like, can they eat it again? How should we reheat it?
This is you're speaking to me here.
Yeah.
Cooked a ham, beautiful. Sliced it, had some of it, put it on a plate, put it in the fridge. How long can it be in the fridge for? I'm not asking you to necessarily answer that specifically. But then after 2 days or a day or something, I started becoming a little bit nervous about it. It was cooked and it was in the fridge and it was on a plate and there was no raw food above it or whatever. But I started to get a bit nervous as to how will I know if there's anything growing on that.
Exactly. And that's the whole idea around the programme, is to kind of educate people on how long food can be stored after it is heated, and how to quickly, when it cool it down, to put it in the fridge or freezer or whatever method that they're using to store the food afterwards. But also just using their own judgment to be able to smell, look at foods, see there's certain foods, like vegetables and things like that you don't know, they don't have use by dates on them, certain foods. So it's being able to make their own judgment on when that food is starting to go off, just by colour and texture and things like that. So it has a lot of different elements to the programme. There's also an element of looking at budgeting and meal planning. So like looking what you already have in your cupboards, and not just going to the supermarket all the time. I'm sure most of us can say that we'd open up our freezer and there'll be plenty of food in there that we can make meals from. And I think people may be a bit nervous about being creative around food now, and not like everyone wants to follow recipes or go for meals that they're used to cooking. But the part of the program has a ready steady cook element where the participants are given unknown foods, so foods that they don't know, and they have to create a meal around it. It's just to educate them and to give them confidence in being able to make meals up from foods that they really have.
And if you involve the children in that process where it's safe to do so as well, it becomes really interesting. And we see measures like some supermarkets removing best before dates on milk. So in other words, you sniff it, and if it's okay, you drink it, and if it's not, you don't. I mean, obviously within reason.
Yeah. Within reason, yeah. I think the use by date we do follow, but best.
But I think and it's estimated that it would save millions of litres of milk. Anyway, I think it's Tesco did it. I don't know. So, as you say, or as Niamh said, Patricia, it's about sort of getting people involved in it and getting people sort of to understand these things, maybe to have a bit of confidence around their food.
Completely. And I mean, I think that's why we are hosting Sláinte Care Healthy Communities in Inishowen, because we are a local development company and we're already engaging with a myriad of people and individuals and groups and social enterprises, and we collaborate and partner with them all. So we make it much more accessible, and that it's available across the peninsula. So when Healthy Food Made Easy, or the food waste is being offered, it's being offered out in smaller communities so that they have the same choices and the same opportunities, whether it's in Carramena, which the kitchen is next one is going to be running, or Moville, or out in Mallinhead. It means then that you have the same opportunities as anybody who wants to walk down the street in Letterkenny, for example.
Who can talk to me about the Food Cloud?
So the Food Cloud are a collaborative partner. We partner with DLDC on the Donegal Food Response, and there's now a partnership with the Food Cloud. And that's about taking food like vegetables and...
Yeah,
and
they're doing a 12-week pilot project
Mhm.
at the minute. They have a food hub in Letterkenny where they're distributing food, second-class vegetables is what they would say. So first-class vegetables would be vegetables that are go to supermarkets, whereas the second-class vegetables could be wasted by farmers a lot of the time, or could be fed to animals.
They might not be aesthetically pleasing, but they're equally they're delicious.
Perfect.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they might just be a different shape or size to what the supermarkets what their criteria are. But this vegetables are used and given out to food banks or food pantries in all of Donegal. The project is working really, really well. The food banks are delighted to have this produce coming through the door because it's fresh vegetables and they're foods that people would be able to use and cook. And coming from my aspect of nutrition, like these are really nutritious foods instead of processed foods coming through the food banks. So it's a really good project that's happening with the
Listen, there's an
LDC.
awful lot in there. So how can people get more information? Because we've just sort of, talked a little bit about the headlines of it. So how can people get more information? Maybe sign up for the Zero Waste programme?
Yeah, they can contact me in the Inishowen Development Partnership. So they can call the office or they can get me on neve@inishowen.ie. We have a programme starting in Carramena next Monday and it's starting from 11 to 1 p.m. And we also have a programme in Muff Community Centre that is run at the minute, but we hope to have more programmes rolled out from January of next
Brilliant.
year.
It's fantastic and it's great for people to get involved because it helps them, saves money or in the food cloud. It helps provide food for people that can't afford it. Both of you, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great. Thank you for having us.
Programme. Okay, we'll be back after this break with the news. It'll be 2 minutes late, but sure, look at
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. KateAppleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
Easy Living Furniture would like to invite you, our customers, to our annual Family and Friends event this Thursday, the 9th of November from 1 o'clock. We'll be offering a magical 50% off all Christmas stock for one day only, including Christmas trees, decorations, baubles, garlands, wreaths, and so much more. Don't miss out on our most enchanting sale of the year. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park this Thursday from 1 p.m.
Go the extra mile with Volvo Electric. Visit McGinley Motors for Volvo Open Week, November 13th to 18th, and get the full experience of the Volvo XC40 and C40 Recharge, each with an extended electric range of up to 570 kilometers. If you order one of these models during Volvo Open Week, you'll receive a complimentary metallic paint upgrade. Find out more about our exclusive offers at volvocast.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is approaching 3 minutes past 11. We go over to the newsroom now, and it's good morning once again to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A retired parish priest in Northern Inishowen says the tragic collision that took the lives of two 18-year-olds in the early hours of yesterday morning has had reverberations right across the peninsula. Alana Harkin and Thomas Gallagher, both from Gleneely, died in a single car collision at Terrawee on the R238 shortly after midnight yesterday. Father Jim McGonigal, who was called to the scene, called it one of the most traumatic experiences of his 50-plus years in the priesthood. Gardaí are investigating a break-in at a business premises this morning on the Pierce Road in Letterkenny, close to the junction with Oliver Plunkett Road. The alarm was activated and Gardaí were alerted to the fact that a burglary was in progress just before 6:20 this morning. The investigation is at an early stage and Gardaí say they're in the process of establishing whether or not anything was taken. Gardaí in Ballyshannon are investigating an incident on the N3 Balleek Road at Temple New, Ballyshannon, in the early hours of Saturday last. 2 pedestrians were hit by a vehicle travelling from Ballyshannon in the direction of Balleek, as were the pedestrians. Both were taken to hospital to receive treatment for injuries. The driver wasn't injured. Ballyshannon Garda Station investigating. The Agriculture Minister says nitrates derogation will be to the fore of discussions with the EU Environment Commissioner, who is due to visit Ireland later this month. Charlie McConalogue says the Commissioner has accepted an invitation from himself and the Taoiseach. He'll come here on November 23rd. It follows major rows between farming groups and the government over changes to the current limits, which will take effect in January. And the Israeli ambassador to Ireland insists the country does not want to remain in Gaza. That's despite Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hinting that his government plans to control the enclave after its war against Hamas ends. More than 10,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes on the territory since the October 7th attacks. Ambassador Dana Elrich said Israel does not intend to stay in Gaza in the long term. And they're the headlines. Back with headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed.
Whether it's golfing, gardening, or going for a new personal best, at Nurofen we know sometimes body pain can stop you in your tracks. Time for the power of new Nurofen Long Lasting for body pain relief that lasts up to 12 hours day or night. So you keep doing what you're doing, and we'll do the long-lasting body pain relief. Up to 12 hours pain relief refers to a 2x300mg capsule dose. Nurofen long-lasting 300mg prolonged release hard capsules contain ibuprofen for backache and muscular pain and period pain. Always read the label.
OK, you're very welcome back to the programme. Just a couple of requests, actually. One that's a little late, my apologies. Hi, can you play a request around 10 o'clock for the 4 members of the Lough Swilly Junior Angling Club fishing for the next 3 days as part of the Irish team at the World Championships being held in Cork from all at the club? They're James and Patrick Donaghy, 2 brothers from Letterkenny, Orla McLean from Letterkenny and Conor Slater from Tyrone. All the best and tight lines. What an achievement representing your country on the world stage. We're all very proud of you at Lough Swilly Junior Angling Club. My apologies for that being a little late, but they can listen back maybe on the playback. People can let them know that we wish them all the best. Happy 6th birthday to Erin from Mum, Dad, Ella, Ada, Ronan and the 2 dogs, Bruno and Bubbles. Can you please wish my auntie godmother Fiona Fitzpatrick in Derry a very happy birthday today? Hope she has a wonderful day. Lots of love from goddaughter Saoirse in Ballybofey. More than happy to do so. A caller says, I'm 75 years old. I'm wondering if I have to pay my TV licence. I have an old age pension and a living alone pension. I also receive the household benefits package. I know other people like me will be wondering if they have to pay. Well, you don't have to pay. But what you have to do is there is a TV licence box in applying for the household benefit package, which gives you a free TV licence. So you don't have to pay for a TV licence, but you do have to have one. And as I say, that can be selected as part of the household benefits package. Some people under 70 can also qualify that as well. But you must select the TV licence option on the form when you apply for the household benefits package. And if you qualify, you become eligible for a free licence from the next renewal date of your existing licence. So the next time you are applying for the household benefits package, and it's possible you already did, make sure you select the free TV licence as part of that. I hope that's clear. I'm not familiar with the application process for the household benefits package, but within it, there is a box or a section that you tick for a free TV licence. So you must have a TV licence, but it is free if you're over 70 as part of the household benefits package. And some of you under 70 with the household benefits package may also be able to avail of a free TV licence. So as I say, hopefully I've been as clear as possible in relation to that. Caroline, I want to thank both you and Greg for still highlighting the tragic topic of the mother and baby home. So glad to hear about the documentary Stolen. As you may remember, I live in New York and I may not have been aware of it only I listened into Greg every morning. My daughter Louise and I will be forever grateful to Highland Radio. Esther, I remember speaking to you and your daughter, and I really appreciate the correspondence. And I hope you're well, by the way. I only met you remotely, but you seemed a wonderful lady. A call wants to know if anyone has had to deal with difficult tenants, as he has tenants who have destroyed the house and have stopped paying rent. He will seek the advice of a solicitor, but would also like to hear of people's similar experiences and how they managed it. I've spoken to some people off the air who've had difficult tenants and a very difficult process they had to go through to get that situation resolved. But if anyone out there has experience with difficult tenants, they've destroyed the house, they're not paying the rent, he is going to, or she is going to engage with a solicitor, but wants to hear of other people's experiences and how they managed it. Tell the last person that texted there'd be no doctors and nurses without teachers. Again, I don't see the purpose in pitching one group of workers against another. It's not something necessarily we want to facilitate. Obviously, we facilitate people's points of views, but where would we benefit from nurses, doctors and teachers arguing with each other or being pitched against each other? I can't see any benefit to that at all. Hi, Greg. Can you ask the engineers what's the contingency plan should the Port Bridge have to close, i.e. a pile-up large fire on a steel-framed bridge? Caller from Downing says it's ridiculous that we're paying people to teach us how to cook and store food. Whatever happened to common sense? Common sense is not common. That's the thing. And, I'm delighted that you feel that you're confident in that, but there are things I've had to learn through life and still am learning. And I think, food waste, sometimes the solutions to it are obvious, but aren't obvious to everyone. Speaking of Downings, when is the footpath stroke cycle lane between Carragart and Downings going to be finished or finalised or even started? We've been talking about this programme for absolutely yonks. Are they heading towards another summer without it? It's a critical piece of infrastructure. People running and walking and cycling on that road. It is dangerous. It's an accident waiting to happen. And as I say, it wouldn't be an accident really because the road conditions might contribute to it. It would be a collision. But I just wonder where the process or the progress is in relation to that piece of infrastructure. A caller says the cycle lane on the 4 lanes needs swept. It's covered in loose chips. Does the council have a suitable sweeper for this job? Ooh, interesting. Hi, Greg. The Great Wall, as you called it, along with the bus stops, are the best additions to the 4 lanes. A wall like that should have been built decades ago, as it also prevents the sea and tidal flooding. Yes, indeed, it should be very effectual, the Great Wall of Letterkenny there. And someone was complaining that it wasn't great for cyclists or people pushing a buggy, but the pitch of it seems gentle enough that I think people should be able to avail. My family member worked in Dubai, moved back here. She said here in Ireland, teachers are better treated by unions, etc. She gets 25% off hair treatments, our extremely well-known hair salon and well-known department stores. She's bought her second home and is a landlord also. That's my opinion on teaching profession. She doesn't smoke, drink or vape either, so she saved her disposable income very sensibly, working 22 plus years teaching. How much of what she's been able to achieve in terms of becoming a landlord and having a second property was... no, Caroline. How much of it was acquired in Dubai? Because the problem with teachers here is they can't amass the deposit for a house, many would argue. But great to hear that things are going well for your family there. That lady on your show highlighting her daughter's plight will resonate with many parents. Generations rent, generations homeless, generation exploited. And if more of you out there, and it can be kind of difficult, I suppose, to speak publicly, but if more of you want to sort of, paint a better picture for us of the experience of young, newly qualified teachers, please feel free to do so. Greg, when will the council do public transport and park and rides? No sign of buses. It's all cars into towns, and there simply isn't the road space for them. Thanks for highlighting it, Daniel. Thanks for the text in. There are some other parts of the country are doing it really well. I'm sure some of you have been through or are from those areas. Let us know, because there's very little around here. Greg, I empathise and sympathise with all the victims of mother and baby homes history, but have we learnt nothing from this history today? Any mother who aborts her baby by abortion pills, and on they go. I take your point. But it's about the debate as to when you believe life starts, or are women entitled to make decisions, or as some would have it, it's medical care, it's legal, and it's here now. And I understand, and I get your emotive, language, but some people might not view that as a baby at that point, and it's a very difficult and complicated and emotive subject. I understand that. I think the Polestar roundabout lights are good. They just need tweaked. Well, they've spent the last 10 days tweaking them. What's really needed is a new road bypassing the roundabout. Why does traffic going out the Ramelton Road from Derry, Ballybofey need to go to the Polestar? They've been talking for years about a road down by Tinny's Oil and across Letterkenny Gales. Also, amazed at how many drivers don't know how to go around a roundabout, keeping in their lane. They're the ones creating chaos. Some re-education needed. I think what would be helpful, and it's a bit silly and probably childish for me to even suggest, but when they were lining out the lanes, if they used different colours, like blue, green, yellow, or something along those lines to direct traffic, because it's just a maze of lines. And from my experience going around that roundabout, and I'm not perfect, a lot of people don't seem to understand quite where they should be and how it works. But anyway... a caller says, last before the break, I believe Donegal County Council plan to have a nighttime closure of the L1551 Strayed Clonmany from 7pm until 7am on the 20th of November until the 15th of December, with diversions up the Pinch Road, then onto Momo Gap. How will people access these roads if there's bad weather? It's ridiculous, they say. So if you've any insight into that, please let us know. Really busy on the phone lines. Thank you so very much.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Get ready for a great night of live music with One for the Road at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town on Saturday 11th November. Doors open at 10, admission €10. That's One for the Road, live at the Abbey Hotel, Saturday 11th of November. Tickets available on Eventbrite.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Roint blianto hin, doling me cur ram chúiseach. Tá deise an duine a chur pean bhres sílisteach mar jouler an gursan, iirtas a dhéanamh farúil inis. Tá deise gumsa cho máfach, mothúr mi a chur an úl, don mórt parúil.
Más duine hu a dul in cur chum chúiseach, lag for tábhach sa fróseis parúil de thuairimí. Fá tuile fós néise agus chlárig ag gov.ie/parúlboard.
Bhá leat an chéad chéim eile ghlacha dulchar an bhatha? Ag Oscail Heicnoliacht an Atlantic is féidir linn ceirú leat. Round go bhreis is céad cuasa, agus feile mna ceanna rís an elam holúpa. Thócálachtí creidúnathe in nó, I dachas, dara, inaltóireacht, technoliacht, óliacht agus sláinte. Ó ghear chóirsaí go máisteachta, déan stad go part-time sure I dímpleacht feilime salúpa, atá darach an a bheith arúnach ditse. Déan iartas anis ag atu.ie/flexible. ATU, Ferber na skillna tá uit le seasamh amach.
Exciting news from Nissan at iMotors, introducing our special 2-for-1 offers for a limited time. Purchase any 2-for-1 Nissan, including the Duke Petrol and Hybrid, the Qashqai e-Power Hybrid and the X-Trail e-Power Hybrid, and receive a complimentary 2025 Nissan at no extra cost. It's a 2-for-1 deal you don't want to miss. Or you can choose a €2,000 bumper trade-in offer. Also 3.9% finance options or 0% finance for the Nissan Leaf, our eco-friendly electric vehicle. Don't miss out. Visit iMotors today in Letterkenny and Malin.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Well, the time is 17 minutes past 11. You're very welcome back to the programme now. The use of e-scooters will be banned for anyone under the age of 16. It forms part of a new laws to regulate the use of vehicles on Irish roads. Transport Minister Eamon Ryan had earlier said any age restrictions would be unenforceable. However, the Irish Examiner reports the age limit will now be introduced after interventions by the Justice Minister, the Gardaí and the Road Safety Authority. Well, Shane Ross is an author and former Transport Minister. It seems like you perhaps... Shane, good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning, Greg. Good
to have you on the show. Yeah, it seems like you and Eamon Ryan might be on the same page, but the Gardaí, the RSA and the Justice Minister not. What do you think? Do you think under 16 should be banned from using scooters?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I'm not on the same page.
Oh, you're okay. I beg your pardon. I
Sorry.
misread your my intro. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's important, Shane?
I think that we're in a very, very dangerous situation with road deaths generally now at the moment, and as you can see, the figures every day and overnight, we're getting these terrible tragedies happening, and I think it's as far as timing is concerned, it is a very, very difficult time to introduce new vehicles and very vulnerable vehicles to the roads. So I think it's very important that we take the absolute. I mean, we're not going to stop them. They're here. They're in, and the legislation is through. So we're not going to stop them, and nobody's going to stop them at this stage. I wouldn't be in favour of stopping them, but it is important that we introduce the strictest possible regulations to preserve the lives of people who are taking the roads on a new type of vehicle, which is vulnerable. So I do think it's important. I think it's very wise of the minister to have taken the advice of the
But with respect, Shane, I mean, let's just say, for instance, in an area where there isn't public transport, or heretofore maybe a young person might have been cycling to and from school, where they have the right lights on, the right helmet, hopefully cycle paths. Would it not be better to say, right, you can use an e-scooter between a certain age, under 16, if it's of a certain performance, and educate rather than ban?
I think it's important you've got to have an age limit on them, I think, at some stage, and they are more vulnerable than bicycles. But I think it's really is important that we make people conscious of the fact that these are vulnerable vehicles, and that we try and save lives. I'm in the business, and was when I was in government up to 3 years ago, I was in the business of saving lives. And I understand fully, the difficulties of people not having transport, and particularly in rural areas. But you've got to balance that against the fact that people, there have been accidents. I think there are 4 deaths. There have been 4 deaths on these scooters already, even though they are at the moment banned. In other words, with small numbers of them on the roads. There's some in Dublin. You can see them here quite regularly. Even though they're not actually legal, and so when we do bring them in, we have to make sure they're as safe as possible, and we don't bring them in prematurely. It's a difficult decision, and but it is absolutely likely that the more we get on the roads, the more dangerous and the roads will become, and that we must take precaution.
But the public might not be confident that whatever laws are introduced will be enforced, because at the moment it's the same, particularly in the built-up areas of the northwest. You'll see the scooters going up and down footpaths, out on roads, not dual carriageways, but I've seen them on significant on significant roads. I don't know what age these people are. I mean, who's going to enforce the rules here, the laws here? Because even now, as they are illegal in certain circumstances, or at least not necessarily governed by a law at the moment, it seems to be a bit of a free-for-all.
You're right. There's a real problem you can see, because enforcement is a matter for the Gardaí, but enforcement is not effective at the moment in terms of road deaths. You can see that the numbers are going up, and one of the reasons, not the sole reason, and I don't want to blame the Gardaí for anything, they haven't got the manpower, but one of the reasons is that the rules are there, but they're not being enforced. And if you're going to introduce a new type of vehicle with new types of rules, which are going to be strict, which are going to be very strict, rigid, the Department of Justice is going to have to step up to the plate, as are the Gardaí, to enforce these rules. I think that's absolutely correct, and that's got to be done. And they're going to have to patrol. They're going to have to be vigilant. They're going to have new methods of detection, which absolutely ensure that these bicycles are safe. Now there are companies, there's Bolt and there's Lime, which are both out there, and they have means, I think, now and they're in favour, by the way, of banning people up under the age of 16. But they have means, in fact, of taking off the road those who break the regulations, and enforcing in other ways under the shared schemes. And I think that's very, very important. So there's going to be a bit of self-regulation there, which will take a bit of the onus off the Gardaí. But it is something which is, if you introduce a new type of vehicle, And with new regulations, enforcement is a problem, which the guys are going to have to do something. They're going to have to do it.
And some would say there is generally a problem with enforcement, not just in this area, but just taking road safety more generally. You'd be acutely aware of issues of banned drivers still driving, lots and lots of people driving on provisional licenses, being able to get them renewed, even if they don't sit, they can apply for a test but don't actually sit it. All of the loopholes that exist now, the amount of people driving without insurance on Irish roads. And now we have the government introducing or looking to introduce a whole new raft of things, lowering speed limits and all that type of stuff. Again, we don't have the laws we have now correct and enforced, and yet we're talking now about creating even more laws and what have you. Do we need to throw out what we have and start anew with tight, clear to understand, enforceable regulations?
I think a campaign is going to be launched now, particularly on e-scooters, but on regulations generally as well, because, I mean, you're absolutely right. A lot of them aren't being enforced, and you highlighted there a couple of them. I mean, with people driving on provisional license, not turning up for their tests and nothing being done about it. It's just totally and utterly unacceptable. But, there is a lack of political will. And when I was introducing measures on speeding and on drink driving, there was a huge reluctance amongst the backbenchers in both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and elsewhere to introduce these strict new regulations. So it's quite difficult, or the new laws in particular. It's very difficult, in fact, for a minister, and I think Jack Chambers, who's the minister in charge, is doing a pretty good job now. But I think you'll find behind the scenes there are an awful lot of backbenchers, and which is what I found. And I had real difficulty getting the drink driving laws through, and I was stymied on speeding in some areas by backbenchers from the main political parties, particularly Fine Gael at the time, who were in government with us, looking at the legislation and saying, no, we don't like that type of legislation. We don't want to penalise people for driving when they shouldn't be, because there's a kind of culture here that people have been doing it for so long. That is a real problem, and it's one which, quite honestly, the road safety advocates have not confronted, and they've been frightened to confront. And it's all very well being in favour of road safety, but if you've got politicians on the back benches who resist road safety measures, you're not going to get them through. And that's been a problem. That's been a problem certainly for the last 20 years, and it's still there.
Okay, listen, thank you so much for your time, Shane. I appreciate it. That's Shane Ross there, author and former Minister for Transport. Thank you very much again. A caller says, I used to buy my bin tags in the local shop. They've now set up a new system for buying the bin tags. You can't get them in shops. I'm now nearly 80. I've been to the bank to try to pay. They're making it very difficult for people like me to pay. In my opinion, there shouldn't be a bin charge. It should be included in the household charge. This is the only way we can stop illegal dumping. And I know what you're talking about there, and I think really it's to try and well, obviously it's presumably cheaper for the companies as well, but it keeps track of the weight of your rubbish as well, and to make sure you don't exceed any limits, or if you do that, you charge for them. But what is the alternative for someone, whether it's that lady or gentleman who's 80 or someone else who doesn't use online or smart apps? What are the alternatives for them? 08660 25,000. In regards to the TV licence, I know from my father that when it's approved, they send you a form to say it's approved and you don't have to pay. Now, it's possible that box was ticked and the person didn't spot it. But anyway, hopefully that person who texted us earlier will get back in touch with us, and if we can help them any further, we will. All right, Marie's with us. Hi, Marie.
And good morning, Greg. You're on about the e-scooters there this morning.
What's your view?
And my view is that they are the most dangerous thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you my experience. I was in the complex TK Maxx a few weeks ago, and one just came shooting across in front of all the parked cars, and a car was trying to reverse out. They didn't see that e-scooter because the speed, it's just like, would you be able to stop if they were kicking a ball in front of you?
No, I mean,
that's what the e-scooters are like. They go that fast, like bicycles and motorbikes. They're not going as fast as what those e-scooters are going.
Mm-hmm.
and small complexes like that there, and they're not obeying the rules of the road either. I was coming out the road one day at the Ramelton Road and at Ballyrain School there, and you know how there are traffic lights there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cars were moving along, and this e-scooter just shooted across the road, and the man in front, I didn't know where he was sitting. He was that shocked at the scooter going to pass so quick.
And is these one-off experiences that you've had, or are you seeing it more and more now?
I'm seeing it more and more, and I'll tell you what they are too. Like, they're in the footpath, like, and it really annoys me because I have a disability and I'd be unsteady on my feet. And here, these e-scooters, you're trying to stay out of their way. It's impossible. Like, you're scared of them.
Yeah.
And you're scared to make that quick movement in case you fall. Like, you have to be in that situation to know what your balance is.
So, would you like to see them banned from anywhere that's not pedestrianised, but, you know, like footpaths?
I think they shouldn't be allowed in car parks and things like that there. Or they should be parked up just the same as a car instead of it's like playing wee mini cars, them e-scooters, like, you know, and them going fast across these cars parked. Like, you know, there are no rules to them.
And can you hear them?
No, you can't hear them.
Yeah.
There's no noise. There's no noise of them. That's the worst thing. There's no noise of them. I even stopped one of the lads that day afterwards. I was the car behind that man, and whatever you call it, he was coming out the Ramelton Road, and I got in front of him and I stopped him, and I had earplugs on, and I said, "Excuse me," I said, "when you were down there at the Ballyrain School," I said, "you did not abide to the traffic lights."
Yeah.
And you should. But he apologised and said he was very sorry.
Okay, well, at least there's that. I just wonder if we're going to see more and more of them, obviously, once
we're going to see more and more because they're so handy, Greg, but the speed of them now, like, you know, is just the thing I can't get over, like, you know.
I mean, they're all over the place in Brussels. I was over in Brussels there doing a programme a few months back, Marie, and it was just... It was a mess. There were scooters because you can rent them there. You see, you hop on, hop off. It was a mess. Yeah. They were lying everywhere, literally like rubbish. You would think they were rubbish, these scooters lying absolutely everywhere. And crossing the road was hectic. You know, cars were bad enough, but then scooters were flying in and out of cars and up and down them. And I think in Paris, they've actually banned them from the city there. I'll have to double check that, but I think they made some changes in Paris as it relates to the use of e-scooters.
Yeah. Because they are so dangerous, like, you know, the speed of them, like, you take, like, going in a car park, like, you know, and you're trying to reverse out, like, and this thing just goes shooting past you. You can't, you look right, you look left, you look right, but, like, they go that quick that you can't see them.
Maybe places like that you talk of need to put a sign up then at the entrance saying, please dismount from your e-scooter. Do you know what I mean? Like, to give people a chance, you know, like, just because people might go, well, there's no rules, so I don't know. They don't need any harm. But maybe it should say, please dismount from your push bike or e-scooter before entering this facility or this car park.
Yeah, that's the way that it should be. Because, like, you see bicycles parked up that they're not shooting about, like, you know, people park them up to do their shopping. But these e-scooters, like, they don't do that.
I think Santi's going to be busy with them this year. It's going to be interesting, Marie, what January will be like.
I would say so. Say so because they're handy, they're convenient. You get people from A to B, but like they're not designed for car parks and things like that there, and abiding by the rules.
And let's just be very clear,
Marie. They shouldn't be on footpaths.
You're speaking from two instances. You're speaking from instances that you've seen firsthand. This is not. You're not. Sitting in a chair at home. You've actually been out there and experienced it, and you're speaking from your experience, which I think is important just to point out because this is a lived experience, Marie, and I'm sure others might join the conversation now. Thanks for your time, Marie.
Right, thank you, Greg.
Right, hopefully you do well. You. Great to have you on the programme. Bye-bye. A caller says those electric scooters are a hazard. They're illegal in the UK unless rented, which provides insurance. But if you're caught driving one in a daft manner here, you can actually get points on your licence, can you? I'm not sure. Not yet, anyway. Well, we'll see. Greg, I have an electric bike, which is limited to 15 miles per hour. I think the scooters are also limited to that too. But that's very fast for a scooter with very little means of controlling it compared to a bike around Letterkenny. They're often on footpaths and can come up behind. You can't hear them. And if you took a step left or right, they would be right on you. But the thing is in towns like Letterkenny and others, there is no public transport to get around town if you live around town. And the scooters are a really good option for people heading to college or heading to some of the amazing employers that we have here. Handy. Do you know what I mean? You can commute in and from work. So there is a great value to them. And I'd love to hear people who are on e-scooters and how it's changed your life or how important it is to you. But there has to be a way where we can all share the roads, the footpaths, respectfully, because I don't think the scooters are coming in. That's just the way it is. They're going to be legal. They're there anyway. But, talk to me then about the benefits of the e-scooter if you're in and around Letterkenny or Buncrana or some other urban area. And what do you think of this conversation? Do you feel that you're being tarnished with bus? Is this going to be the new dog owners? 95% of dog owners are very responsible, 5% aren't, yet a lot of dog owners all get tarred with the same brush. Are we going to see that with e-scooters now, that people who respectfully ride them in a safe way are going to be grouped in with people that are spinning around car parks on them, nearly knocking people over? I see they're advertising e-scooters as Christmas presents now. If Santa can bring them, well, there'll be many more on the road after Christmas. Indeed, I think you may be right there. The under-16s using the scooters aren't the problem. My boy is 10 and his brother is 8, and they love their e-scooters and use them very safely to just go short distances to their friends' houses. I think it's so unfair to target the younger age group who aren't the ones who are flying through busy towns and streets on them. I kind of tried to touch on that with Shane Ross as well, in that, it's not like we're hearing of loads of young people under 16 tearing the place up on these things, Is it fair that they should be banned to all under 16s, especially when maybe some are just using it for the reasons that parent outlined? Ban is correct. Peripheral vision isn't fully occurred until the age of 13. Very important to ban these for safety. Great point, perhaps, if that's the case. So maybe under 16 wouldn't have the same vision sights that someone older. No bicycle obeying the rules of the roads at the traffic lights. Is there much of a difference with e-scooters? Should be some sort of an identity number visible on all bikes. I personally don't see a great deal of difference between them. You can buy DM waste bin labels in any shop, says a listener. That's on a separate issue. But there are some that they've done away with labels now. There are some companies, I think Panda might be one. Actually, I have to be very careful unless I absolutely know for a fact which companies. But some companies are switching from the physical label, because I saw some letters being sent out to the physical label that you can buy in a shop. So according to this caller, DM Waste, you can still get bin labels, but that waste provider might not be our listener's waste provider. Well, they talk about people not turning up for their test. Funny, you never see boys like Shane saying, what about people getting their test cancelled on the day of the test because there's not enough testers in Donegal? That's a fair point, of course. But what we're talking about is a particular set of statistics that show there are a group, quite a lot of them, I think 60, 70 odd thousand people that have a provisional licence for a very long time. And the only way you can renew it is to book a test. But clearly they're not going because they're either that or they're all failing. Do you know what I mean? So I get your point, but there are a group of individuals that retain a provisional licence or a learner permit by booking tests so they can renew, but not turning up for the test at all, which is robbing someone of a place, by the way, to do their test legitimately as well. A caller says, if someone doesn't switch off the Polestar traffic lights, I'm afraid Letterkenny shops will be missing out because of all the delays, even in the supposed quiet time of the day. And that's everywhere in town. I haven't heard much from the business community. Maybe things are working well for them. Greg, where are we actually in terms of the new road and bridge at Bonagee? Are there plans actually drawn up at this stage? The only movement so far was when Martin shop closed, and that's a fair while ago. Everyone always says the new road would be a great job, but no one has a clue if and when it will happen or what stage it's at. It can't be too far along yet, or some politicians would be on your show bumming about it. I will go back. We had the roads engineer on. They are actively trying to progress it. I don't want to misquote the guest, but in a bit, it was like that soon. I think the 2025 was mentioned. Plans are afoot. It might happen, but no. How long have we talked about it? There's not the work is progressing. You know what I mean? I'm laughing because I'm trying to explain it, but I'm using all the words I would use to a child who'd wanted something and I didn't want to give it to them. Greg, I'm getting a scooter and we'll be parking my car at Manor Roundabout and coming to work in the morning. Yeah, we see that's practical. That makes sense. That's a car off the roads. All right, really busy on the e-scooters. Keep them coming. Let's take a break. Back with more.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Your Christmas begins with our magical selection of decorations at Lidl. Watch their little faces light up with our LED fairy lights, just $29.99. And catch the magic glimmer of Christmas with our LED pine tree garland, only $19.99. Wishing you a magical Christmas with Lidl, while stocks last.
Your voice matters and your vote is important. Local authorities are updating the electoral register, and it's your responsibility to ensure that your details are current and correct. Even if you're already registered to vote, now is the time to check and either confirm or update your details by providing your PPSN, air code and date of birth. To have your say on shaping Ireland's future, you must be on the electoral register. Checking is easy. Simply go to checktheregister.ie. The easy way to secure your say. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Hi folks, Gavin here from Divers Hyundai and Letterkenny to tell you about 2 Grand Tuesday, our one-off used car sale event. This Tuesday, November 7th, all used cars at Divers will have €2,000 off the listed prices online. Yes, that's $2,000 off every car for one day only. No gimmicks, no games, no joke. That's 2 Grand Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the day. For details, see diversgarage.ie.
Looking for a good night's sleep? Restex Beds has you covered. Located at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. They are the best in the Northwest to get a quality bed or mattress. Come visit them today and wake up feeling rested and refreshed. Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, someone mentioned the closure of the N1151 Strad, Clonmany, County Donegal, that it might be happening. Well, the council have issued a notice on it. Notice is hereby given that Donegal County Council intends to make an order to have the following road closed to traffic on the dates and times indicated to facilitate works to the water main. So it's Monday the 20th of November to the 15th of December. It's a nighttime closure from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. The route being closed, as I mentioned, is the L1551 from its junction with the L6114, approximately 650 metres. Traffic will be diverted via the L1611 to its junction with the L1531, Mamore Gap, as it's more commonly known, onto the L1541 at... I can't read that. Where is it? Orrismina, back onto the L1551. So nighttime closures there. Persons wishing to object to the closure should submit an objection in writing. Well, there's no point me reading that out because the period for which you could object has passed. These scooters are so dangerous. People in England have been knocked down, badly injured, and few have died. Nobody can hear them coming till it's too late. It's the lanes which are confusing at the Polestar junction. Which lane do you get into, which is putting people off. You come in on 2 lanes from the Clannery, then suddenly at the front there is 3 lanes. Yeah, it is a bit complicated. So do you spread out into the middle lane coming in that road from the left lane or the right lane or both? Probably the left lane. If you're in the left lane, you go left on the roundabout. If you're in the middle lane, you go... I'm not even going to get into it. You go straight on. And if you're in the right lane, you go out the Ramelton Road. But what's happening is people are going into the right lane and they're going on the inside of the roundabout and stopping there. And it means traffic then can't go round the roundabout and out the 4 lanes again. That's why I think if the lines were colour-coded, maybe it might be easier for people to track which lane they should be in. Kevin joins us on the roads. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Greg. Forget about colour-coding.
You don't like my idea?
No, look, Greg, I come in from... I know, I'm sorry about that. It's not a good idea, but not for that situation as far as I'm concerned. But coming in from Kenny's for the roundabout Bunagee Derry Road and heading out the Melton Road.
Yes.
Come in, get a red light. You get a green light, you go 10 yards, you get a red light. Then you get a green light and you have to cross over to your left. And then you get another red light.
Yes.
On a Mickey Mouse roundabout. Like, for the size, I'm being serious when I say Mickey Mouse, because it's so small for that. It's a laugh. It's a joke. And the people that are tweaking lights now should tweak them the way they should have been set up, which is, if you get a green light on the lane that you're in, you should get in, you should get out without another red light. So if I'm going out the Melton Road, I get a red light, I get a green light, and I'm on the inside lane, I should be able to go all the way around that wee roundabout and out the Melton Road.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult there. It's quite difficult, I think, with that route you're talking of, Kevin. It's quite difficult to merge. It's quite difficult to merge to the left, if you know what I mean, as you're supposed to, because then you're fearful of someone who's going on towards the ATU, for an example, clipping them. It doesn't feel like a natural manoeuvre to, as I say, to veer off into the left lane there, as you're supposed to at the second set of traffic lights on the roundabout.
Yes. And as you said, like the confusion of it, it happened to me. There was somebody on my left-hand side when I was merging over, and only for I seen him in the wing mirror, I was going to clip him. You know, so the two of us were kind of side by side out there at Melton Road.
Yeah.
But we were held. The thing about it is, just take it. I've been on before and said that take away the roundabout altogether now, and you've got a crossroads. And it's when you get a green light, you go and you get away your road. And you can tweak the lights all the way they want now. But it's not going to work until they do that each road has its exit, and you get a green light and you get your exit. I mean, am I totally stupid or in cuckoo land that a very simple thing like that could actually work?
Yeah.
You know, I've driven all over England, all over France, everywhere, and I cannot see the sense in that. To me, that is totally stupid. There's no other word for it. They can tweak, and the Christmas lights are flashing with them. It's not going to work unless you do it that way.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Look, I could be getting senile in my old age, but...
I think you're all right. No, I think you're all right, Kevin.
You think so?
I think, yeah. No, listen, I mean, I've spoken to, especially people in bigger vehicles, I've spoken to a couple of them who find themselves blocking the lanes because they're stopped on the roundabout. If there's one car in front of them and they progress from the first set of traffic lights that you talk of, then they're stopped at the third, their backsides blocking the route off the roundabout and another way. Yeah. Okay. Listen, Kevin, thanks for your time.
That's sort of like backing up what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Get a free run round and that's it.
Okay. Right. All right, Kevin. Thanks very much. Take care. That is Kevin. Back after this break with our next guest.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Foy & Company's Black Friday sale is running for the entire month of November. The one-off sale you don't want to miss. All this week there's up to 50% off selected Scatterbox cushions, plus lots more discounts including 20% off Dulux Motor Paint and 50% off Rivoli dining sets. There's also great discounts off Italian leather sofas, Irish-made mattresses and so much more. A month of Black Friday sales not to be missed at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
St Columba's College Stranorlar. Open evening for 6th class primary students, their parents or guardians will take place on Thursday the 9th of November at 7 p.m. in the school hall. A copy of the student's birth cert and PPSN are required to complete the application form.
New this week at Home Store and More. All cookware sets are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price cookware sets are gone, they're gone. Also, all baking trays and tins are still all half price. And when all the half price baking trays and tins are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Shop Evolve Clothing for Adidas, 11 Degrees, Carhartt, Jack & Jones, and many more casual and streetwear brands. Menswear Superstore at Letterkenny Retail Park or online at evolveclothing.com. 2 floors of fashion, open 7 days.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Right, so the showers that were around this morning will become less frequent in the afternoon, leaving a mostly dry day. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees and a light to moderate westerly wind. We're joined on the programme now by Sinead. Sinead, thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
That's no problem.
I think, Sinead, the best thing for me to do with what you've been through is just to start you off and let you explain the situation from the beginning.
Yeah, please, that would be great.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it was like 2 years ago we were renting. Now, we're living in Letterkenny, myself and my partner, for the last 10 years, obviously renting and paying out of our own pocket. So about 2 years ago we were renting out in Port Hall, and the house ended up getting taken back by the banks as the landlord wasn't paying his mortgage or whatever. And a long story short, we ended up homeless. So the council were giving us the vouchers for the hotels and things like that. But the hotels obviously ran out. They just weren't taking them. The government was buying them and they were being let out, obviously, for other circumstances. So then we ended up getting ourselves a little caravan, and I have a park here now just on the Neil T. Blaney Road facing the Tourist Information Office. Mm-hmm. And we could be here now about a month or two. Now, I've emailed the council office, I've been onto tea days, I've been onto local councillors around the Letterkenny area looking to fight on my behalf. I've been to the Traveller project, as my partner is a traveller and I'm not. Now, we've no running water. I'm sitting here now in the caravan at the moment looking out. There's a row of traffic here, the traffic lights, obviously, as you know, all the new lights now at the coast around a bit. And everyone that's just driving by is just looking in, just staring there. And if I look out, they actually turn their head with a sudden reflex because they can see me catching them. So I have to wake up every morning with no running water, have to go to the local garage or use the toilet there. I have to go to the wash house at the Arena 7 every week to wash my clothes. I was diagnosed with arthritis here about 3 months ago from the doctor. So this is acting up now on my knee as well with the coldness. The weather now for the last few days obviously is after being Baltic outside, and I see in the salt truck obviously going around on the roads now. So there's obviously ice coming. There's mice all around us where we are. I've emailed Fergus, I've emailed the councilman, sorry about that, 3 or 4 times a week asking for running water, a generator, because the generator that we have is airing with the plug, so I can't use the microwave, I can't use the kettle, I can't use the toaster, and again I've no running water to wash anything or wash myself.
No. And of course you're watching the weather forecast, and it's going to get sub-zero at night towards the end of this week, and that's only the getting services to the caravan. What is the situation? You've been on the housing waiting list for 6 or 7 years now. Do you know where you are in that process, or is there any...
Oh, they start... Go on.
No, is there any progress, or have you been given any information about maybe a house becoming available for you and your partner?
Well, so about a year and a half ago, he sent me an email to say that there was a local council property coming up in the local area, and myself would be my name would be put down for one of them. Sure, I never heard that about that. Okay. Then when I got back to him about that, then he said, no, they were all given out. There's no kids involved and things like that. Now, me personally, I think that shouldn't be used against a couple that's with each other for 15 years. I think that should be least of the problem.
And the bottom line too is, Sinead, I mean, you've had no choice but to get this caravan because you're homeless, really, effectively. The caravan is your home. You are homeless because...
Oh, of course.
It's either that or the streets, really, effectively.
Oh, yeah. Like, there was times there when we were sleeping in the car for weeks we were going to sleeping in the car, waking up with spots, cold sores, everything. Just real neglected down yourself. You know, I think we're after losing so much weight. The mental health in this alone is bad enough, never mind the progress of over the last 2 years of being promised the moon and stars, and still no one has came out where we are. Do you know what I mean?
Would it be difficult, in your view, would it be difficult for the council to provide a water supply for you?
Oh, no, not at all. As where we are, there'd be no problem for him to come out here and help us out with a generator and running water. That'd be no problem. Then the heating will work, everything will work then. And do you know, like if you could cement it or put a bit of tarmac down so there's no mice or coming like running around. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's not something that you're used to getting up in the morning, go outside. It could be minus degrees outside. So get up at 9, 10 o'clock or whatever, go out, get my partner to start the generator, come back in, wait then for 10 or 15 minutes for it to warm up. And you still can't have a breakfast at this time or go to the toilet. So then I have to go to a shop. The two of us have to go to a shop, wash our face, brush our teeth. Then I have to go, we have to go to the gym then probably twice a week to wash ourselves. So out to Ballybuffet or Letterkenny. So that's another 15 or 20 euro. Like, it's all money cost. And he knows the circumstances that I'm in, what it's doing. And I'm just like, you're just putting me to the bottom of the list.
It's the whole of a local authority. I don't think there's any individual. But anyway, listen, Sinead, I just have to say that you're engaging with the local authority as a whole. And Sinead, just in terms of the locality or the location, of the caravan, would there not be a more suitable place that might be, less risk of rodents or easier to connect to services? And pardon my ignorance, it's not a loaded question, it's a genuine question, Sinead.
Oh, of course there is. As I'm sure there's loads of council property around the place. As I say, there's fields all around Letterkenny that the council is working on now at the moment. And if they came out to me and said, look, Sinead, you can go there, I'll give you the supply of a water, a shower, washing machine, things like that, I will happily live there for as long as I have to live there with the right supplies. Do you understand where now do you know what I mean? It's like crying out for help and no one listening.
No, it's very difficult. And as you say, this is having a toll on your mental health. And of course, too, the cold's going to exacerbate your arthritis problems.
Oh, 100%. But like the knee is, and then with driving then as well, so you can't drive a lot. And then we went then here the other day, actually at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was here and I was sitting here and I looked. There was two women walking in towards me, and she said to me, "Oh, is this your horse around the side over the bridge?" Then I had the guards, and they come down and they said, "Oh, is this your horse?" I said, "No, it's a dead horse." I said, "I never deals with horses, never in my life." And now I have people now driving by thinking that this was our horse, staring on top. It's just a horrible feeling that I don't need.
You're being profiled a little bit there.
Profiled for something myself and my partner, and I don't think it's acceptable. I think it's a disaster.
Well, Sinead, as best we can, we'll make contact with the local authority and see what they have to say on the situation. Hopefully, they'll probably say we can't comment on individual cases, but they might give us a more general reply, and we'll see where we can go from there. But for now, best wishes to you and your partner, and I do hope things improve for the both of you soon, and we'll make our inquiries and see what comes from that.
Me too. Thanks a million.
Bye, Sinead. Take care. All right, bye-bye. Right, okay. That's where we have to leave it on the programme. Back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. But for me, Greg Hughes, and Caroline Orr, who researched and produced the show, and Shannon working away with us as well. Have a great